Tallahassee, Experiment, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Five, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, 5. Go ahead, ask me a question.
Did you?
5. I have a secret document that I think you need to say. 5.
Winston, Benjamin again. Inside the 30, breaks a tackle. Benjamin inside the 15. Benjamin is in. Touchdown, FSU.
Anything you say, 5.
It's a big moment now for the Noles defense. It is picked up. Picked up by Taylor Smith. He's headed the other way.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All the way to the end zone.
McGuire throws back against his body. Touchdown.
The business.
Caught by Jeremy Kerr. Back up tight end. What a throw. He had to fit that into a bread box.
The self.
2nd and 3. Patient and explosive. And a touchdown for the Noles.
Franks back to throw. Hit by Brian Burns. Ball is out. Scooped up by Jacob Pugh. And returned for a Florida State touchdown.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Blackman to the air on 3rd and long. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Florida State. Naquan Murray intercepted. Taylor with his second of the day. And a pick six for the Seminoles.
The business.
Cam Akers with the cutback. Inside the 5. Touchdown, Florida State.
Anything you say, 5.
End zone touchdown. Auden Tate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
38-22, the final, with 28 points off of turnovers and a couple of scores for the defense.
5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and a fine Monday to you and yours. Welcome back in. Good to be back with you. Hope you had a great holiday. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do, you can get caught up. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's upon the conclusion of the program every evening. Email the show, jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow, WTSM app for your mobile devices. And you can watch us perform our radio duties, always a good thing, on ESPN Tallahassee. You'll go to YouTube and type in ESPN Tallahassee, and you'll watch us. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you're well. Hello, everybody. What's going on? Anything big happening there? That was fun, man. It's the Golden Bohica. It's not the Platinum Bohica, but we did obtain the Golden Bohica. Hica. Fifth. It's so fun. 5. Over and over and over and over again.
A welcome distraction, yes?
Yeah, it was nice to so thoroughly vanquish the University of Florida yet again and extend a winning streak and an historic one at that. Of course, it was a temporary distraction from the greater story, and it's been a season of tumult. It's been very interesting to watch this play out. I think you have a lot of factions at odds with one another within the Florida State community about what this season represents and what it means going forward for the program, for the head coach, for the players, for fans, for alumni, for supporters of Florida State in any way. And I think what always gets difficult is when there aren't definitive answers. People don't like to live in the world of limbo. Nobody wants to be in limbo in their life, whether it's financial, whether it's your education, whatever it might be. It could be your home. You don't like to be in limbo. You like things to be in order. You want to know where you stand, good, bad, or otherwise, right? You just want to know because then you can deal with it and you can move forward. But when you don't have a real good sense of where you're at and what's going to happen and who really should I be focused on and why and what can change all of this and that in an instant, it's very difficult to navigate.
I don't mean diddly-do.
Right. And so you find yourself in a position today where, all right, on the one hand, cool. That's 4 times in a row down in Gainesville, by the way. That's 5 straight in the series. And by and large, you've owned your rivals. So the exception being Miami breaking through this year for the first time in 8 years. And so that's part of the larger discussion of Jimbo's legacy, because we can get straight to it now. The talk today is about Jimbo Fisher being offered the Texas A&M job, and he has been offered that job. Now, you'll hear the Mountain Dew coach's interview. If you haven't heard it already, it's been posted. We also ran it early this morning. I talked with Coach Fisher this morning for, at length. The interview is about 5 minutes long. My discussion with him was a lot longer, much of which I cannot divulge and will not. Coach Fisher and I don't always agree, and we're free to have that conversation, and I've always appreciated that. I've always appreciated that he's understood I've got a job to do, and I understand he's got a job to do, and we don't always see that job or have an opinion that meets eye to eye. And that's okay, because he's a big boy and he can handle that. He doesn't always handle the media very well, in my opinion. And I'm sure I do lots of things in his opinion wrong too. And that's fine. And he'll tell me about those, and we have that conversation. And then this morning, we weren't really having an adversarial conversation. It was just kind of vetting this process. And I think it's hard on him because he didn't feel free to speak on the job except to say that he hadn't accepted a job yet. And I asked him that question, and he says, I don't speak about jobs right now. I can tell you he hasn't said yes to that job yet. So if you hear reports that he's already agreed to terms with Texas A&M, that's simply not true. Does it mean he won't? Well, that I don't know either, and I could not get that out of him, and he was not going to answer that. Whether it's on the air or off the air, Tom, I can tell you he remains true in regards to whether or not he's going to really expound too much on something like that.
You know, I really enjoy when we sit in the office and we talk about what the big ACC title game is going to look like, or what the college football playoff game, the New Year's Six Bowl, whatever it is. And man, how are we going to match up against this segment or that segment? This season hasn't really had many of those moments.
Hasn't afforded the opportunity.
No. However, we had a moment that's similar today when we were sitting in the office back and forth, your side of the glass, my side. And we're just talking about, man, all the things that go into this decision. The fallout potentially for the university, who the university would go after, who they've already talked to. I mean, there's any number of things. They
lead you down different paths, each one of them.
Right. And so for once, because we've said the same freaking thing for the last 2 months, and they've been the right talking points, it's just the repetitive. This is the first time we've had real new information to chew on, think about, and, you know, it doesn't mean that we're going to have an answer for you right now at 3:10 on a Monday. But these are fascinating times, and this is the fascinating week that we get this season. It's not about a big game that we're playing, unfortunately. It's about whether our coach is going to stay or going to go.
And I'll posit my opinion as to where he was this morning when I spoke to him and where I think he's leaning, because people want to know what we hear, and certainly they know that I talked to him. And, you know, I will say that I felt like he was a guy in limbo this morning, Tom. I felt like, you know, I got to be careful. I don't want to reveal too much of that conversation and betray his trust, and I'm not. I'm using it for context, okay? I felt like he was a guy in limbo, that there were things that he wanted to talk about that he feels like the public doesn't know, and that maybe many in the media don't know or talk about, and that those are things that you have to also factor in that maybe aren't on the surface for everybody to see and acknowledge and understand as being part of the overriding reason to stay or go. On the other hand, I feel like he kind of revealed that in some regards he wants to stay. That he was a guy wrestling with the decision. That's just all I'm going to say. I feel like he was uncertain. A lot of equivocation there. I felt like he was a guy that on the one hand was thinking about going and was really interested with the opportunity at Texas A&M, and on the other hand wants to see this thing reach its potential, max out what Florida State can max out as, and stay here for the long haul. I think he to some degree certainly understands and doesn't like the perception that he uses these job offers to get himself more money. I think he's aware that some people assert that, and that bothers him because I think there's no question this is a guy that has many times over, including this year, talked about facilities. And, when you hear that, a lot of this is a matter of timing, Tom. To me, you and I had a conversation the first time he brought up facilities this year during his coach's show.
Yeah.
In which he was asked a question, and he answered that question by saying something that was insensitive and ill-advised, in my opinion, in which he, to some degree, whether he meant to do it or not, belittled the contributions and advancements to facilities and, of course, the program as a whole, whether that be the indoor practice facility or the monies that have been donated by big-time boosters and fans of the program and alumni for the upgrades at Moore, whatever it might be, as a small thing, and that we haven't done anything in a long time. And that rubbed people the wrong way. And if you're trying to achieve a long-term success of building a different structure, and I don't just mean a facility, I mean long-term structure for your program, and you're going about the process of trying to elicit those funds and get support for these long-term projects you deem to be necessary for the advancement of your program and the long-term success of your program, it's probably not wise, I don't think, in the midst of a losing campaign to belittle the contributions and or the advancements already granted in your time here. I think that was a mistake. But during that conversation, that was the first time he brought that up. During that conversation, we said, this is by and large what modern coaches do. They come in, they fix things. It's a whirlwind. They have a vision. They get you to buy into that vision, and they want you to be all in all the time, and they're never going to stop asking for more. And you just got to accept that that's what coaches do because they don't want to be behind the eight ball when they're tasked with the responsibility of beating certain teams year in and year out. If that team has an advantage, they feel like it's an unfair fight, so they're going to lobby for that. And we could live with that. I just said from a PR standpoint, it was a mistake. He doubled down on that, Tom, later on. And I think what's interesting is that competing things can be true. You can have a scenario by which, hey, you know what? Long-term, does Florida State need to commit more? Does Florida State need to continue to push the envelope in order to remain competitive with the schools in the Southeast for national championships and the best of the best in recruiting? Sure. Is the time to bring this up and lament certain things that haven't been done? Is it time to do that publicly in the midst of a losing season? Probably not. No, not a good idea. So those two things can both be true.
Yeah, at the time when we were having that discussion, I said, I'm glad, based upon a couple of things. I'm glad that when you did the preseason interview with Stan Wilcox and we heard his visions and where he stands when it comes to the athletic facilities, when it comes to the budget, being competitive at the highest level. You even brought up laser tag, with what Clemson's facility has. And he says, well, I mean, we stand by ourselves with what we do in terms of producing NFL talent. I think that's going to attract a student athlete here. So we don't need all of those bells and whistles. So I liked hearing that we had a pragmatic athletic director who was connected because, frankly, Stan doesn't talk enough for us to know that. And then you have Jimbo at the coach's show responding to a fan saying, well, we ain't done anything here since I first got here. Okay, just for a moment, removing the anger, I remember saying, I'm glad that he is serving his purpose and he is fulfilling his role because it's Jimbo's job to push. And then it's Stan's job and the administration's job to say, okay, well, here's what we can do with the budget we have. So I was glad that conversation was going on. Now, given context clues of what we know around here, what the national media is talking about, if Jimbo is to stay, I think it's quite important that we all have a meeting here. And if there are real problems, like non-starters where nobody's going to talk to each other, those need to be fixed and meted out moving forward. Well, if he stays, that's so vital to the next month and to the next 3 to 5 years for this program because you cannot have division under the Florida State umbrella if you want to advance the program. And that's what I've learned in this situation the last couple of weeks. There's some heated moments and some division there.
Well, there's also different ideas as to how to move forward and what's possible, what's real, what's possible, what's wished for. There appears to be, and there has been for some time now, it's not the first time that I've heard this. This goes back a ways. Others who cover this team have written about it. I've talked about it before. It's been hinted at for a number of years that there is a disconnect and a real division. The coaches at Florida State University, I'm not just talking about football, and the boosters. Who's right in that argument? What's in play? The details involved there, that's up for debate. I hesitate to get into that. It's a 17-hour show.
But isn't it a classic case, because we've talked about this off the air, isn't it a classic case of both are right and both are wrong at times?
Well, I think yes. And who's more right or more wrong, it depends on who you're talking to on that day.
Precisely.
I think it's a little bit like arguing about the weather. It's not going to do you any good, as it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. I could be wrong. I do think there's an element, and whether he stays or goes, I think is partly going to be influenced by whether or not there is an agreement from those two sides as well as the president to address that situation as to the money, who controls it, where does it go, how the boosters operate, the athletic department, you name it, what Thrasher will commit to, etc. And if he doesn't get the answer that he feels like gives him the chance to succeed long term, and he doesn't feel like the building of a program is happening like 10 years, 15 years type stuff, looking that far advanced, then he'd be more inclined to listen to Texas A&M or anybody else that he feels like is committed in that way. But I get a real sense that while he has not dismissed the offer and hasn't said no to the offer, he hasn't said yes to the offer and is in the process of having to figure this out. I don't think he knows. I think as of right now, he doesn't know.
Yeah, the most important question that they answer, if they haven't done it already, that's going to help determine whether Fisher stays or goes, is where does the money go? I mean, he's asked for assistant pools over the years. He's asked for a football-only facility while the administration...
to be sure, he's going to have to get assistant pools again because he's got to make changes, and he's going to make changes. I believe that's going to happen, and yeah.
Sure, and like we said last week, when Pruitt left, Jimbo asked for, high-level defensive coordinators that cost more money than we were willing to pay at the time. And since then, depending upon who you believe, he's asked for that again. But he's asked for a football-only facility. He's asked for the coaches' offices, all of these things. And there were times where it seemed like pulling teeth, and there are times where Jimbo has been appealing to the public through the media, and he's chosen the wrong moment to do so.
I feel like that's true. That's
what this season's all about.
But that's been my criticism, is that there are back channels. There are ways to go about getting those things done, or ways that you can go about addressing those concerns of yours without it being a public display of displeasure, an adversarial one at that, in the midst of a losing season.
But I think that's why we're saying that whatever problems you have, they have to be hammered out right now, because it's the same thing as a coach-player relationship in the pros. If a manager goes to the press at the professional level, or a head coach to talk about what a player isn't doing, that's not going to play well. Over. And what's it an indicator of? It's an indicator that the communication lines are broken. He can't call the player into his office and say, "What the hell, man? Now let's have a man's talk and let's walk out of this office with a better understanding of where we both stand."
Well, and it leaves us in limbo. I mean, as talkers, as somebody who has followed and covered this program for nearly 20 years, I got to tell you, I usually have what I believe to be is a pretty good handle on these situations, and I give you my opinion. Now, plenty of people can disagree with that, but I usually go forth with a strong belief of this or that or whatever it might be. I don't know the answer here because I see the truths in all of this. I understand where both sides are coming from, and I understand that I don't know everything about the politics involved in this, and believe me, that's a part of it too. There are so many factors too that really aren't even fair for us to delve into, at least in the sense that I don't know enough to speculate. For example, how much does his family play a part in this? It has to, right? It would, as I've said many times on this show before, it would for all of us. Anybody making big career decisions has to take into account, first and foremost, how he and his family feel about that situation and their happiness. And so, I mean, I'm not going to speculate on that. I don't know that.
But of the things that we can speculate about, I think this has been the learning process here in the last couple of months. It's been that Jimbo has appealed to the public through the media about facilities while we're losing football games.
Which is, I think, a mistake because we didn't lose to Boston College 35-3
Correct.
due to facilities.
Correct. But, the fallout of that all the way to now, which is it's a decision that he has to make this week. The job's been offered. I think
The job has been offered, yes.
I think people on the surface believe that if somebody's offering you $2 or $3 more million a year in salary, that's enough to leave by itself. I think what we've learned is that that's not the case here.
No, I don't
if
think
it was a simple salary grab, he's already gone. But he hasn't left, has he?
No. Oh, I don't think it's about that. I think the money would have to be, so appreciably greater than what we've heard it to be announced as.
Of course, he hasn't left yet.
Well, no, I'm saying, I don't think it's about money. Not in a classic sense.
Not salary.
Not salary. No, I don't think it's about money for him. No. Now, if somebody would say, well, that's naive. No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's about money for him. No. He's got more money than he could ever spend at this point. I mean, he's got $40 million guaranteed, basically. He's going to be fine. I think it's about something else. It's about the distribution of that money, where it goes, and actually a vision.
Right.
I think it's part of a greater vision.
Well, I think the funny thing is, okay, when Stan first took over, right, as athletic director, and we go through the first couple of seasons, and that's in the midst of winning 29 in a row, all that stuff. The thought was, the popular sentiment, and I shared it in it a little bit too, is that, Jimbo runs the football program. And what Jimbo wants to do in the football program, Jimbo is going to do in the football program, and this athletic director who's brand new is going to focus on other sports, but let Jimbo do what he's doing. Look at what they've done. 29 straight to the league in 3 years, 29 wins in a row, a national title. So he can just live on his island and do what he needs to do. What I found out in the last couple of years is that's not really the case because he doesn't have the blank check to do whatever he wants. That's why he's appealing to us in the first place for facilities. So, but trying to figure out that nebulous zone of who has the money, who says yes, who greenlights projects is really a fascinating discussion. Is it the president, the athletic director, the booster community, the coaching staff? I mean, how does it work and how does that relationship work?
Well, and also, however many battles have taken place behind closed doors between these individuals that have helped build rancor over a long period of time, is their relationship irreversibly fractured to the point where we will never see this reckoning that you're talking about? Or is this a situation where all sides recognize and will be brought together, and by whom, that this has to be fixed?
If it's irreversible, go. You know what I mean?
And I feel like if he thought it was, if he felt like this will never be fixed, then he would have said yes already. But see, this is the other part of that, because let me tell you something. Arkansas, I've brought this up before, I'm going to bring it up again. Arkansas has incredible facilities. If you go around and go facilities for facilities, Arkansas is in the argument with everybody. What the hell is Arkansas winning? Nothing. A&M is like a Taj Mahal. People who have seen what they've done will say, well, my God, no question how invested they are here. They lose 5 games a year. They're whatever. Now, would he change that? I'm sure he believes that. I mean, every great coach has to believe they're the answer. But there are a lot of programs with better facilities and certain advantages in other capacities that would outrank Florida State in certain ways that don't win like Florida State does, because they don't also have certain built-in advantages that Florida State has. And so you weigh all of this about facilities and region of the country and investment and big-time boosters and long-term vision and all of these things. And so it's not solely about facilities. Jimbo is all in on facilities all the time. We know that about him. He's going to keep clamoring for that. But I think it's more about a collective mindset about a university, its boosters, and its athletic department working together, and a willingness to do so and maybe put bygones on the shelf and move forward. I don't know, man. That I don't know how soon any of that's going to change.
Well, what does a good politician do? They convince people sometimes to work against their best interest, but they're compelling and there's charisma, and
they also convince them that it's their idea.
Well, but they change people's minds. And the thing that I think is failing here is when Jimbo brought up facilities this season, he wasn't winning people over to his side. You know what I mean? Like, I think his goal was to get in front of the microphone, state his case, and swing people over to his side so there was momentum to get something done. What actually happened was the opposite. So, and to me, once again, the fact that he did that in the first place and continues to do so underscores the fact that there just needs to be a meeting of the minds. If he sticks around, a meeting of the minds, you've got to make it work. You have to make that relationship work.
Well, and I think you can win right now, as you have, because a lot of things have been given. Maybe not as readily as he'd like them to be, and maybe things are a bit like, you know how frustrating it is. We know from working in radio. I'm not going to take a shot at my employers, but we know over the years we've both worked in radio here and somewhere else.
Sure.
That when people don't share your vision or appreciate certain things, that it can be infinitely frustrating. And if you feel like you need a little bit more, that you can succeed even more, but you have to pull teeth in order to do it, it wears on you. It wears you down. It's not that you can't make it work. It's not that you can't succeed. You can, because if you care enough and you work hard enough, you will. But God, dog, it's exhausting. And you just think, can I get, so I think to some degree, my opinion, he feels that way about his situation at Florida State. They would say, well, now, wait a minute.
How many raises we giving you?
Yeah. You want to question commitment? Here were the raises. There's the IPF, the football dorm, the improvements at Moore. We basically have already agreed to terms with you about the football-only facility. We're going to give it to you. You want it tomorrow. We can't do it tomorrow. The funds aren't there. We'll get it to you in 2 years. But we're going to start raising the money for that. So what's your gripe? And then that opens a can of worms about a lot of gripes and a lot of things that have nothing to do with that.
Right, past gripes over the years.
Past gripes over the
Yes.
Yeah, and we get it. It's like a Thanksgiving with your Uncle Ted, who said some things 10 years ago he should have never said, and we're still pissed about this. And remember that time, Ted? And everybody at the table goes, oh, here we go. Here, I knew it was going to come back to that time with Sheila. Why does she always got to come up with this argument? Because Ted's drinking. So that's what ends up happening. And I think that we got a little bit of that here. We got so another job opportunity I see, Coach. Our dedication to you is in question, is it? Funny. Every year this seems to come up. But it's not about you, is it, Coach? And then the retort is, oh, so we're doing this? We're going to do this here? All right, let's do this. And here we go.
Bottom line, you think it can be salvaged? Because if it can't, then I think it's best for both parties to move on.
Well, I think the process that's happening behind closed doors right now has everything to do with that. That it won't be about the money for him. There may be, obviously, an ask for money involving assistance, big-time assistance, upping salaries to over the $1 million level. So what I'm saying is that's fine.
Nobody has a problem with that.
I don't think anybody has a problem with that. So nobody's holding out, I don't think, on that. So that kind of, when you hear about that money, I think that's happening. I think that they would commit that immediately. It will be about a restructuring. It will be more about changes to how the money is accessed, who's in control of it, what are the boosters working for, and to whom do they report, and all of that. Can that be salvaged? I don't know the answer to that. I don't. It's been done this way around here for a long time.
Well, and is it fair to ask that when you're 5-6 and ULM's coming up on Saturday at noon?
He would tell you there's always time to ask that question, and he would tell you that it's not about a singular season, whether that was the 2013 National Championship undefeated campaign or this year's 5-6 campaign.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
you're sitting next to him right now in the PR firm.
What I'm telling you is that's what he would say.
Correct. Yes.
Now I know what the other side would say because I've also been on that other side and said it on this show. That now's not the time, my man. It's never the time publicly. Back channels, baby. Back channels. You don't sit here searching for a 500 season and go down this road. That was a misstep, in my opinion.
Yeah, the other side would say, yeah, that championship last year was pretty. Oh, wait a minute.
No.
That was 2013.
Yeah, it was Clemson who won that year. Yeah, I bet they did. All the advantages. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on earth, can give you the best year-end deal on earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men on a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing, paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E Plus from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's finally here. Black Friday, along with Nissan's and Star Wars Master of the Universe month end and 2017 model closeout sale. All 2017 Rogues are $5,000 off MSRP. All 2017 Altimas are $6,000 off. All 2017 Maximas are $7,000 off, and all 2017 Armadas and Titans are $10,000 off MSRP. I said all, not some, with over 250 to choose from. How about new 2017 Versa S's for $10,990 with 5 available at this price, or new 2017 Sentra S's for just $13,990 with 7 available at this price. Did I mention that new 2017 Pathfinder S's and Murano S's start at only $24,995? Plus, during this sale, all new Kraft Nissans come with 2 years or 20,000 miles complimentary maintenance. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive and the original lifetime warranty. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco, and we are open this Sunday. Prices include dealer preparation charge, must finance through NMAC.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. As we always are after game weekend, we're joined by the head football coach, Jimbo Fisher. Coach, obviously, there's a lot of talk around the country, college football. Everybody has now heard or read somewhere, at least out of the state of Texas, that you have been offered the head coaching job at Texas A&M. I've got to ask you, is that a job that you have accepted? Is that a job that you'll feel free to comment on? If not now, when is a good timeline?
Jeff, you know I never comment on job. My focus right now is winning this game against ULM and playing our season. And I don't get into the rumors and all the rumor mills. If there was ever something to it, then, you know, at appropriate time. But right now, there's no reason to comment. We're just focusing on beating ULM.
Coach, 5 in a row against Florida. That obviously is historical. Your thoughts on what it means to be a part of that, your thought about going into the Swamp and winning yet again a 4th straight time in Gainesville, and what it means for this team.
Well, I think, first of all, what it means for our fans, our alumni, and the people back with Florida, and the rivalry started, and they couldn't beat them, and had such a hard time, and Florida wouldn't play, and that whole thing. I mean, that generation of people, and I think it means so much to, and you know, the John Thrashers and T.K. Weatheralls and Jim Smiths and all the people back in those days, and they remember that. I think it's huge. That rivalry is huge for us. And then, like everybody said, well, what does this team have to play for? And we kept winning a national championship or a conference championship. We used to accomplish something that had never been accomplished at Florida State. And that's hard to do right now because we've accomplished a lot of things in the past and in the present. This team has done it. To win 4 in a row down there is a tremendous accomplishment. And again, I think it signifies this team's character and ability to go compete and just keep blocking out the clutter and keep playing for each other.
We talk about how it was done, Coach. Obviously, Florida State's defensive line, you look at this, your defensive line dominates Florida really in this game. I thought, by and large, when you look at Florida just averaging 3.9 yards per play, and if you include some garbage time in there, really it wasn't even that. I thought that was the key to the game. Obviously got after the passer as well.
It was. They got pressure and created turnovers and created points. I mean, theoretically, we created 21 points, directly, set up other scores. Offensively, we were very opportunistic in scoring touchdowns and getting it in the end zone, did a great job, and left some things out there offensively on the field. We had some plays. But defensively, I thought we were outstanding. I thought that pressure up front, we covered well. Vontae Tanner was outstanding. Derek Nottie inside. Derwin was really good. Some of those young freshmen, you started to see them play, and I was just very proud of our defense. They controlled the football game.
Offensively, Coach, you don't run a lot of plays in this game, so it's hard to really look at just overall numbers. I'll say, and I want to get your assessment after you've watched the film, obviously, I thought James Blackman played a pretty good football game. Talk a little bit about preparing him for that atmosphere. Did he learn a lot at Clemson, obviously, with the way that the second half kind of went for him there? And obviously, as a coach, you're trying to prepare him for an atmosphere that is similar to that of Clemson. Your thoughts on the preparation during the week and then his game?
Again, he keeps maturing and making plays. And had a couple opportunities. Even Dickey said, with the rare drop by Auden, and when he had, that guy don't ever drop anything. And make good throws there. There was a high throw here and there on some plays and had some pressure, but we had some 4 or 5 critical drops, but he kept making plays. And then development he had at the end of the game when he, we had the third down and he checked it down to the back when he had to on the third read. The back makes the guy miss on how they played it. Then the read, and then the play, he get Lane on the second long. He makes that play. And then at the end after, we didn't get in the end zone on that one turnover. We're back up 3rd and 3, and we're up down still a 2-score game. And he makes a great throw to Auden in the back of the end zone. Not just that he makes the great throw, but how he made it. In other words, if he missed it, we're out the back of the end zone. We're still kicking a field goal to go up 3 scores. I mean, just a lot of poised things and development and decision-making in critical moments that he's starting to grow out of. And I'm very proud of him for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the throw to Ermon Lane as well. A lot of throws that you saw, not only anticipatory, Coach, but leading the receiver.
Yeah, he did. Led him, understood the situation, not letting the situation get too big for him, not wanting to win too bad, as crazy as that sounds. So, I mean, there's a lot of things in there that he has really grown on, and very proud of him. But and then the other way to go through him, you have to go through him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Coach, this is if Florida State gets the win, if you guys get the win against Louisiana Monroe, and I know you don't assume anything, and you'll go about the preparation and all of that, and Louisiana Monroe has a very
on team scoring 50 points a game.
Yeah, they got an offense. Yeah, I was just about to say they got an offense, so you're going to have to play well. But if it were to happen, fighting back to get to 500, becoming bowl eligible, and it's a big if, and I know you don't like to assume anything, and I'm not going to try to put words in your mouth, but I guess this team has certainly had to battle. Your thoughts on what basically is probably our last talk of the year before a bowl, what this season was and what those kids have had to overcome and what you guys have tried to help them overcome.
Well, I think, and they're learned. I mean, that there are things that you can play for reasons that are bigger than you, even though you don't get your immediate needs, or your immediate toy at Christmas, as I say, a national championship, a conference championship. And then instead of quitting, you persevere, and it's what's amazing you can overcome and establish and bring back together. And it's life's going to be like there's going to be a lot of times in life it ain't going to be good for them, and they have to fight through it. So, I think those things, I'm very proud of them, their character, their toughness, and our coaching staff to fight through what they fought through.
Coach, I appreciate it. As always, thanks for your candor, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, the head football coach at Florida State University, joining us. Let's unwrap some of that. Had a chance to talk to Coach off the air as well. I can't really reveal all of that conversation, but I can talk a little bit from a standpoint of context. We'll do that next on the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Georgia used car, truck, and SUV buyers. Car Gurus has named its top-rated used car dealer for 2017, Frank's Auto World on West Tennessee Street. Car Gurus rates each used vehicle for sale based on price and rates it as bad, fair, or a good deal. Who's the most good deals? FranksAutoWorld.com. Think I'm kidding? Type in FranksAutoWorld.com on your smartphone, iPad, or desktop. Get multiple pictures and even a free Carfax of each vehicle and a rating by Car Gurus showing you the price is a good deal. FranksAutoWorld.com.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today and pick up 5 quarts of Castrol conventional, high mileage, or Magnatech motor oil for $19.95 during the 5-day sale. Plus, earn a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. Protect your engine with Castrol oil specials at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football? Hair of the Dog Sports Bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town. Sexy French poodles welcome.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Tennessee Athletic Director John Currie issued a statement on the
almost hiring of Greg Schiano as the Volunteers' next football coach. The school backed out of a deal after a backlash over Schiano's alleged connection to the Sandusky scandal at Penn State. Curry said Tennessee carefully vetted Schiano and noted he was not mentioned in the 2012 investigation report into the scandal. Curry did not say why the Vols actually backed away from Schiano. All in all, a bad look for Tennessee, believes ESPN's Booger McFarland.
I don't care who was behind choosing him, whether it was the biggest booster or whatever. You chose Greg Schiano, and then you allowed the fans and the shock jocks and the other people to make you change your decision. What kind of spineless, no backbone thing is that?
On the premiere of Golic and Wingo, that's Booger McFarland. FSU coach Jimbo Fisher, linked to the Texas A&M opening, told ESPN Tallahassee 97.9 FM he never comments on jobs. Monday Night Football, pair of teams in the hunt in the AFC wildcard race, Ravens and Texans, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN TV.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Busy day, as you could well imagine. And the weird part about all of this is we're all fans, huge fans of college football, and a lot of crazy stuff happened over the weekend, which was welcomed by yours truly and excitedly celebrated. As I mentioned, Tom, I was all over Auburn, baby. Woo!
Moneyline kind of confidence.
Moneyline kind of confidence. I went with Auburn on that. Yeah. Listen, what a crazy world college football is. There is potentially the opening of Florida State, which is a job that would be coveted by the nation's elite. And I've got some thoughts on who might actually be a candidate, who would probably be a lead candidate, I'm almost certain of, right off the bat. I'll get to that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I will get to that. Meanwhile, my phone just keeps blowing
There you
up.
go.
I'm trying to
You're like Schefter on the set of NFL
I
Live.
feel like, yeah, I do.
Trade deadline.
It's getting crazy over here. I'm going to do the show while I'm texting, but
well, Suze, A.J. McCarron is not going to the Browns.
No, so, the Florida job does open up. Everybody and their brother thought Chip Kelly was going there. We said originally Dan Mullen. It turns out that Florida may have accidentally fallen into the right hire and gotten Dan Mullen after swinging and missing on two separate guys. So Dan goes there, and more on that in a bit and how that affects Florida State. There's the thought that Jimbo Fisher right now basically, listen, that deal, and I want to clarify some things if we didn't get to it in that first segment. The deal to Texas A&M, the deal offered to Coach Fisher by Texas A&M is largely complete. It is in terms of what's being offered, it's just now the ball is in Jimbo Fisher's court. He has to decide whether or not he wants the job or not. It's his if he wants it. They've offered him the job. I am told that the reports you've largely read, and I know how unreliable certainly the internet and Twitter and all those things can be, and you hear stuff all over the place. There's been a myriad of reports, some of which are just laughable, some of which are pretty close to the truth. So, we all go through the vetting process and trying to figure out who's telling you what and what's real and what's not. But I will say that you've seen reports of 7.5, 7.6, somewhere in that neighborhood, over 5 or 10, depending on the report you're reading. Those numbers, I think, are accurate. I think that is an accurate depiction of what's been offered, just in terms of the money. These contracts are filled with so many other things, but just in terms of the money, yeah, I think that's accurate. It's just about whether or not Jimbo Fisher wants to take the job. So what I think the timeline here is that Coach Fisher coaches this week and coaches Florida State in the ULM game, and immediately following that game, we will know something.
What's interesting to me is reported today was that on Thursday at 2:30, Texas A&M and its board is having a meeting, and on the docket, be it Regents or whatever it is, they're having a meeting, and on the docket is head coaches and the numbers. So I don't know if those minutes certainly won't be turned over with a public records request if Jimbo hasn't decided at that point. But that Texas A&M is meeting on Thursday at 2:30, I find interesting. I don't know if that means that they have an agreement in place, if that is for a plan B. I don't know what the minutes will feature in that meeting, but certainly that the big wigs are getting together to talk about this specific topic on Thursday tells me that they might have some indication of what they're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
It could be about Coach Sumlin's buyout. I mean, you got to pay him $10 million.
Oh, and by the way, the specifics of that is a true kiss my ass on Main Street moment for the ages. And his buyout happens to be better than a lot of other guys' buyouts, just the way that it's structured and how soon it has to be paid.
Fully guaranteed no matter what he does next.
That's right. And so I will say that a lot of you did a great job of tweeting at me during the course of A&M firing of Kevin Sumlin and noting that it was an ultimate drop your pants moment.
Ball's free.
Indeed.
Ball's free.
Should be the happiest day of his life.
Ball's free.
At least financially, because he's all set. Yeah, it's like Monopoly money these days, man. You look at big-time TV money and what it's done to college football, and I'll tell you what's funny. We talk all the time about SEC money and how much extra those universities are getting and how much more they have to compete with for coaches and how that could have a deleterious effect on Florida State and other schools like it if they don't compete, and if that ACC TV money doesn't come in soon, and what does that look like, and what's the monetary amount? Well, guess where that money's going now? To pay off coaches they fired and bring in new ones. That's all it is. Tennessee's paying off their last one, and then probably going to have to give some money to Schiano, and then turned around now. Look at A&M, all that extra money. Guess what they're doing? Paying off a coach they just fired. And it's hilarious.
To be clear, just, in professional sports, when there's a free agent signing and there's a negotiation period, baseball is a good example because typically you have two or three big suitors, Yankees, Red Sox, and then Dodgers, whatever it is. The big wigs are bidding for the Johan Santana of their time. Guys will hold out and they'll wait to see what the next offer is going to be. So let's say the Yankees come at him with 20. Well, he'll wait to see if the Dodgers come at him with 22. You're saying that that's not the case here for Jimbo and Texas A&M. That he's not holding out, staying in Florida State because he knows that A&M will cough up another $1 million or $2 million per.
Well, I mean, Jimmy Sexton's going to act on his client's best interest, so I can't say that his agent isn't doing that. I can tell you that the way that process works for a lot of coaches, and I believe Jimbo Fisher is like a lot of those coaches. Money, okay, look, I'd be a fool to tell you that money is not a concern, but you can only have so much money. After a while, it's just more zeros. He's taken care of. I mean, he's not going to want for money, and his family's not going to want for money. It's not that it's not a part of it, but it's not the overriding factor at this point. So whether it's 7.5 or 8.2, or no, this would be, maybe Sexton does that and lobbies for that because he gets more money out of that in the long term if it happens. But I don't think that's Jimbo's concern is the money. I think it's again an ideology, a belief, and a long-term look at where the program's going and who's on board and who isn't and how things need to change and whether or not he believes that the university, whether that be the president, the athletic director, and those that help make the big-time decisions, the big-time donors and boosters, are on the same page and see this the right way or the same way. He believes the right way. They would argue that, obviously, his way is not always the right way, and that you don't just hand out blank checks. And, oh, by the way, schools that do frequently also don't win. That you can look around at these places that supposedly have it better, where the boosters give this much money and they have better facilities, and they're not winning. Not all of them. Obviously, some do. So every situation, it's a case-by-case deal. I really think it's just more about getting people on the same page and whether or not they can agree what the future looks like at Florida State. And so this week is, I mean, we can't do this all week, right? Speculation. You're going to hear, I think it is very much a fluid situation. I think my guess is, from what I can figure, there are times during the day where he's, in his mind, thinking he's out the door. And I bet you there are an equal amount of times throughout the day where he thinks, nah, I'm not leaving. I like it here. we'll make it work. We'll make it work. I'll get him to see things my way, and we'll get this turned around, and we'll be all right. You know, and in the end, what he decides on, I think anybody who tells you they know for certain what that's going to be is likely mistaken. There are a few exceptions. There are probably 3 or 4 people who know for certain what's going to happen, and unless you're connected to those, you can't really say, because we watch this happen in college football every year this time of year. This is what happens. I mean, LSU was certain he was gone. It was over. It was a done deal. It was agreed to. He was walking out the door.
Michigan was certain it had Les Miles.
That's right. I mean, we've seen this before, so you don't know. Unless you're sitting there listening to me talk about this right now, right next to Jimbo Fisher, and he turns to you and says, I'm leaving, you just don't know. Edith Chaffel, warchant.com, coming up next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on earth, can give you the best year-end deal on earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
You can always count on the Knolls to deliver. But what about your home comfort system? If your system is older or giving you problems, call the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning to check it out. Make the right call this season and turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Go Knolls. License number CAC 057652.
It takes 4 essential ingredients to brew Bud Light: barley, rice, water, and hops. But this is a 30-second commercial. So here's the sound of barley malting. It's super quiet. Sorry. Here's to the beer you can always count on. Brewed to be America's favorite light lager. Bud Light, famous among friends. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Featuring a newly expanded liquor menu, including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Tennessee Athletic Director John Currie issued a statement on the almost hiring of Greg Schiano as the Volunteers' next football coach. The school backed out of a deal after a backlash over Schiano's alleged connection to the Sandusky scandal at Penn State. Currie said Tennessee carefully vetted Schiano and noted he was not mentioned in the 2012 investigation report into the scandal. Currie did not say why the Vols actually backed away from Schiano. All in all, a bad look for Tennessee, believes ESPN's Booger McFarland.
I don't care who was behind choosing him, whether it was the biggest booster or whatever. You chose Greg Schiano, and then you allowed the fans and the shock jocks and the other people to make you change your decision. What kind of spineless, no backbone thing is that?
On the premiere of Golic and Wingo, that's Booger McFarland. FSU coach Jimbo Fisher, linked to the Texas A&M opening, told ESPN Tallahassee 97.9 FM he never comments on jobs. Monday Night Football, pair of teams in the hunt in the AFC wildcard race, Ravens and Texans, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN TV.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Busy Monday. Glad to have you aboard. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do miss something, all 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. It's JCS at 979ESPNRadio.com. You can find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app for your mobile devices. And you can watch us on YouTube. Just type in ESPN Tallahassee and you'll find us conducting the radio program. And obviously, it feels like it's been a while. It has been. Obviously, we had the Thanksgiving holiday, but tons of football. And then, obviously, another win over Florida, which is an annual occurrence these days and an awful lot of fun to celebrate. But it didn't feel like we got that chance. Tom and I were talking about that last hour to really celebrate it because no sooner did that game end, did the continued talk of Jimbo Fisher potentially to Texas A&M heat back up. And then from there, of course, we saw things play out on the football field that grabbed our attention and kind of get us thinking about the big picture of the college football playoff and who's going to occupy those 4 spaces. Welcoming in now is our good buddy, Ira Schoffel, WarChant.com. We talk to him every Monday. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
Same as you, man. Running around crazy, answering calls, checking sources, trying to find out what's real and what isn't. I don't know that we're any closer to that truth, right? Right now, it appears, and I want to get your thoughts on where you think this is. I know you have a lot of sources as well. It appears that this is just basically a full-blown offer for Jimbo Fisher to be the head coach at Texas A&M, and the ball is in his court, and they're just waiting on him to decide whether or not he wants to take the job or stay here.
Yeah, I think that's true. We are getting some indications from some people that feel like they know his intentions, that feel like it's a very real possibility that he's going to go. But that's how negotiations work. And if you want things, sometimes if you want to get your point of view made, you maybe need to say, yeah, I'm willing to take this kind of job, or let it be known that you're serious about that offer. And so I think that's where they're at, and I think it's going to be a question of whether or not FSU, if there are things they feel like they can do to make Jimbo Fisher more interested in staying, or if they feel like, you know what, we've done what we can do. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. And then at that point, it really would be up to Jimbo Fisher to decide if he wants to stay or not.
So call his bluff is what you're saying. They either call his bluff or they acquiesce to whatever demands those might be. We both happen to think that has something to do perhaps with the booster structure.
And it may not be a bluff, and I wrote it. I mentioned that word in my column about it, which I kind of try to wrestle with a different phrase because it may not be a bluff. I mean, it may be what it is, that he may be willing to go if Florida State, doesn't make some changes. As far as what it would be, I mean, I just think there's a lot of things that he probably has complaints about right now. But at the same time, I think now's not a great time to have some of those conversations because I'll be honest with you, I've left a bunch of jobs in my career, usually under amicable circumstances. But even in those situations, I've usually kind of told myself all the reasons I wanted to leave, and I would spend while I was making the decision, the pros and cons. If I really wanted to go, a lot of times I would come up with all the reasons I wanted to go, and I don't like this, and I don't like the colors in the bathroom, and I don't like what they have in the snack machine. I mean, you can talk yourself into it, and I think if Jimbo has, if he's focusing on all the things he's not happy with, that may be a kind of sign of what he wants to do. So again, we'll see. I mean, I know some of these conversations have been going on for a long period of time. Some of them might seem a little bit fresher. But at the end of the day, I mean, how much can FSU do in a short amount of time, such as you're talking about days? I mean, Texas A&M can't wait for 2 weeks. FSU can't wait 2 weeks. So this has to be done pretty quickly. That's the nice thing about salaries. If you're just talking about salaries, hey, can we cut this check or not? It's cut and dry. When you start talking about fundamental changes or things you'd like to see differently, that's not a conversation you can have in a day or two.
I'm curious as to, I guess, the timeline now, it seems to me, is, from what I can gather, it looks like he would like to coach this last game, that they're efforting, and I don't know this, but this is my speculation, they're efforting to try to keep, if he has decided to leave, if he has agreed in principle to a deal with Texas A&M, that he would like to stay here and finish out and coach the last game of the regular season and get Florida State to 6-6 before anything is announced. But that doesn't seem all that reasonable in today's day and age with the way things leak. If that deal is done, it's going to come out that it's done and that he is leaving mere seconds after that game concludes and even maybe before, if in fact it comes out and hits in any way that could be trusted that the deal is done. But I think that's what he's holding out to try to do, and I'm not sure he knows what he wants to do. I'm just saying that if that deal is done, I think he still wants to coach his last game.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. No matter what, I think Jimbo Fisher wants to and plans on coaching Saturday against ULM if he's coming back, obviously. But even if he decides ultimately he wants to go, he's very, we've talked about this a million times. He's very attached to the players. He's very much a player's coach when it comes to emotionally invested, and I'm sure he looks at this season and the fact that at one point they were 2-5 and everybody had written them off, and so they wouldn't make a bowl and they wouldn't have a winning season, and they probably wouldn't win, at Florida to end the regular season, and they've done that. They've kind of stuck with him, and I'm sure he wants to stick with them even if he decides to go. So there's no doubt about that. I agree with you that there's no way. I don't think it's tenable on either side, FSU side or Texas A&M side, for him to not announce something by this weekend. It wouldn't shock me if they came out at some point this week and said, if he decided to go, it wouldn't shock me if they said, he's decided to go, but we're going to let him coach this week with his guys. That's what the players want. That's what he wants. And we're going to do that. It's not like it would hurt FSU to do that. But I agree. I can't imagine that this is just going to hang in limbo for another week.
You want to be very careful, and I know you do too, because he may stay, and you don't know whether or not he's made that decision. I don't, anyhow. Maybe you do. I don't know whether or not he's decided to definitively leave. You hear all kinds of rumors. Obviously, he's not talking about it right now. But I actually think he's a little uncertain and is kind of using this time to evaluate the situation further and maybe leverage this, as we're talking about, for some changes that he'd like to see and maybe to get some people on the same page. But that said, if he leaves, every athletic director, every president, we hear this all the time, say that they have a list of people that they would be willing to look to, that they would call first. I hear that Willie Taggart is a name on that list almost immediately. Do you also hear that name, and what other names have you heard, if indeed it goes down that Jimbo Fisher is taking the Texas A&M job?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I really don't have any information on that. I've been so focused on Jimbo and just kind of what he's going to do and what's going on in Texas A&M. I haven't really gone there. It wouldn't shock me. And I do know, from talking to people at FSU over the last week, in their preparations in case Jimbo did decide to leave, because this has obviously been out there for a while, that there does exist some sort of short list, and that they have some people that they'd like to start with. But and then the other thing that would happen is if they hire a search firm, if you were to go, and if they hire a search firm, which many of these colleges do, because this isn't something colleges do on the regular. It helps to have a search firm. People make fun of them all the time, but they do serve a purpose. And sometimes those people will come with names and say, hey, you may not have realized this, but this guy's on the market. And so, it could go in a lot of different directions. That's the name that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I keep getting that name from different sources. It keeps coming back over and over again. It's the only consistent name I hear. There are some other names that get floated out there. That's the one that I hear most consistently. And I just wanted to check with you while I had you on whether or not you'd been hearing anything along those lines. Again, it may be a moot point because Fisher could end up staying here long term. And we'll never know who that guy was going to be. But it is, interesting times. I really don't need you to assess the Florida game. I think we saw just what kind of shambles they're in. That was – I will say this, Ira. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't pay close enough attention. I knew Felipe Franks wasn't the answer, obviously. We've all watched Florida play to some degree in various points this year. But were you surprised just to see – that's a terrible football team. That Florida team is garbage. They're way worse off than Florida State is currently, at least in terms of the talent on the field.
And the preparation. I don't know what that interim coaching staff is doing, but preparing for the game was probably not one of the things they were doing because, that was crazy. At one point, early in the game, Charles Kelly's just like, we're just going to let you know where we're blitzing from, who's coming, how many are coming, and we don't think you can do anything about it. And sure enough, they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't pick up the blitzes. They couldn't. Franks couldn't read them. The receivers. They just literally looked like they had not practiced. That was a disaster. I agree. That going into the game, the reason I thought it would be a close game was because I don't think either offense is very good. I thought the concern, because we watch FSU so much, was whether or not James Blackman would turn it over a lot in that environment. It turns out I didn't realize, that Felipe Franks would throw 2 pick sixes and, just completely just self-destruct. And I don't blame him entirely. I think that's completely fallen apart. Sometimes the interim coaches kind of give new life, and that clearly hasn't happened for Florida.
Yeah, I think that kid's broken a little bit. That's a tough situation. Just to watch him, I almost got to a place where I felt bad, and then I remembered it was Florida, and I stopped feeling bad. But it was. It was.
How about stop throwing the ball?
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
They were lining him up to get killed. It was. There's just not a ton of talent there. It's absolutely remarkable how quickly it can go south. I think that's why everybody's scared to death, because you realize it can go from being a place where you think they're on the right path to completely irrelevant, and Florida's been that for a little while now, but man, they're a ways off. Good talking to you, Ira. Talk to you later, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, appreciate it. Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Yeah, again, you start to fish around for these things when you hear your head coach may be leaving, that he may take another job. You begin to ask people in the know, hey, who are some names? Is there a guy? Is there a couple? Are there a couple of people that you feel comfortable saying would definitely be on the short list? Doesn't mean that he would take the job. Doesn't mean that you would necessarily offer the job, but he would be a candidate. And when you go about that process, the name you hear most frequently, at least the name I hear most frequently, not saying he's going to get the job, not saying he's going to be offered the job, not saying that he wants the job. I am saying that the name I hear most frequently from disparate people who don't necessarily know each other is Willie Taggart, who has been a success everywhere he's been and is a really good recruiter and has a handle on the state of Florida, and he checks the boxes, and I get it, and I know why his name would be on the list. And I don't think he's the only candidate, but I think he would be a candidate. And a lot of you email us, and a lot of you have asked that question for weeks now. Hey, if Coach leaves, where are we going? Well, one thing I do adhere to and absolutely believe, and have had numerous coaches tell me this and administrators mention this in the past, no matter the situation between Jimbo Fisher and Florida State is viewed as a premier job, and some names that you may never expect would come out of the woodwork for the opportunity to come to Tallahassee and coach at Florida State with the talent that's already on this roster. Coach Fisher, by and large, has done a very good job, he and his staff, of recruiting. These are top 5 classes every year. The cupboard would not be bare. You would have an opportunity to walk in and succeed almost immediately, if not immediately. So I don't think Florida State would be lacking for quality candidates to take over. And I think that you hear people, they wring their hands. You talk to folks, oh, no, we can't lose this guy, can't lose that guy. What happens if he leaves? Listen, this is a premier job. It may not be the best job in the country, but it is certainly one of the best jobs in the country.
Is that, if Jimbo were to leave and you're dealing with an opening, a vacancy in the job, is that wishful thinking? Because, if I recall, when Florida's job opened up, you said Willie Taggart would be a guy I don't want them to hire.
Yeah, I didn't want them to hire because he's a really good recruiter, extremely well thought of throughout the state of Florida, knows this state like the back of his hand, and is a guy that has been very successful, somewhat under the radar. I would be worried about what potentially he could build from a recruiting standpoint. I tend to I like X's and O's as much as the next guy, and it's a fun discussion about, philosophy and concepts and all of that. But in truth, it's about the Willies and Joes, not the X's and O's. You give me better players than you've got and put them in a position to succeed. I have a feeling that you can win with almost any style of play. So I'm not as concerned with, does he run a pro style? Does he run tempo? Does he run spread? Does he run? I'm not as concerned with that. I am concerned. I need a proven track record that you can freaking recruit. Can you bring in the best of the best? Because I tell you what, long term, if you do that, whether you're running Dan Mullen style of offense or you're running Jimbo Fisher's, you're going to win a whole lot of football games. So I tend to line up guys that do a good job in recruiting. There are coaches I like who might not be a good fit at Florida State, but are a great fit somewhere else. I mean, I think Brom's a very good coach. He's done a good job his first year at Purdue. Is a guy that, speaking of, Willie Taggart came in after Willie and inherited a situation that Willie had built back up and did a good job. Western Kentucky, I mean, he'd be a guy that certainly, but he's not leaving, Purdue, and he's not a guy necessarily I'm saying we should go after, but you identify guys you like and guys that have been able to sustain some success and turn things around in recruiting. And that if you can have real ties to the South and have proven that they can recruit in the Southeast, and he's one of those guys.
That Taggart's name is the primary name that you're hearing is interesting. I don't know that that's a great producer's moment right there where I'm not opening up to further discussion.
Well, here's what I'll tell you.
But that's a lot to chew on.
It is a lot to chew on because here's what I think. It's not a sexy hire. And what I mean is that's not a name that's flashy. And so what happens, you'll find a lot of football guys like Willie, a lot. But I think just in general, there are big names out there that everybody's aware of. And if it's not one of those names that's on the tip of the tongue of the average fan who doesn't, do this for a living, goes to work and does all the stuff he's got to do, and they see the big names, they know who the big names are. Right now, those big names would be guys like Scott Frost because of what he's been able to achieve at UCF, an undefeated season, fun offense. He's young. A lot of people know that his name is mentioned prominently with the job openings, including the one that was at the University of Florida. So they know, hey, he's a rising star, that one right there. But a lot of those guys come and go. Sustained success, a little bit more important to me than a guy that's had a good season or two. I'm not saying he wouldn't have success and that he won't have success if he decides to take the Nebraska job. I personally, if I were him, and again, I can't know what that's like to be, to have an opportunity in the draw of being an alum and them asking you to come back to help a situation that's gone south in a big way at Nebraska. One thing that's going on here, too, a lot of people get scared of the unknown. And we're all guilty of that, the not knowing. I opened the show by talking about being in limbo and how nobody likes that. You want definitive answers. You want to be able to line things up and say, well, I'll tell you what, here's what we know, and this is what we can do about that. But when you watch the way this plays out, you really realize that while there may be some things here that need to be cleaned up or altered or fixed or changed completely, whatever that might be, wherever you stand on that, whether it's the boosters, the administration, facilities, coaches, wherever you're at with that. Man, look at a mess like Tennessee. Look at that freaking mess. Look at a place that you would think is a can't-miss place like the University of Florida. Resources, fertile recruiting ground, I mean, passionate alum and boosters, willing to give, and now they're investing. They did let it lapse a little bit, and that came back to bite them. But they're investing. They're back in. You know, you can win and win big at Florida, etc. Look at that! Look at that carousel. Look how that played out. I mean, freaking Chip Kelly turned down Florida. Now, you may say, well, he's a West Coast guy. He's not an East Coast guy. He was never going to come to Florida. That was unreasonable. UCLA? Good Christ, it's a basketball school. It's ridiculous. You don't win anything at UCLA. Turn down Florida. Allegedly, Scott Frost did. I don't know how accurate that is, but he turned it down to consider the Nebraska job. Nebraska? I know you're an alum, but geez, times have changed, brother. I'm jumping on that Florida job the first chance I get over Nebraska. I just, you see, there aren't too many idyllic situations where you say there's nothing wrong there. Look at a place like Texas, all the money, all the alum. You know, you're connected. Your girlfriend got her master's at Texas, or PhD.
She worked a postdoc there,
Whatever it is. It's the point.
That's not the point.
The point is, you know, you went to a bunch of games at Texas and got to know Texas fans.
I did.
Well, how dysfunctional is that situation? Sweet Jesus.
They're perpetually pissed.
Well, and for good reason. They have all the money, the resources. They have tradition. They have a love and passion fan base. They want to give. They've got all the facilities. They can't win anything. A&M's never won a damn thing. It's been 100 years. What? So you see, there aren't perfect situations everywhere. There are places that are more ideal than others. And I'm just telling you, this is a great freaking job. Is it perfect? No, but there isn't a perfect place. It's not out there. This is a great job.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Saving! Race into Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC for the best selection and service in Tallahassee. Get incredible discounts on racetrack-worthy vehicles, like $10,000 off select new Buicks and GMCs. We are professional grade. And that's not all. We've got a huge used car inventory, so you can find a quality pre-owned vehicle to fit any budget. We even offer low payments and exceptional offers, like 0% APR financing. Hassle? No way. Haggle? Never. At Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, you'll deal with people you know, like, and trust, and get the honest, friendly service you deserve. That's why our customers will tell you there's no better car buying experience in town. Visit us today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or online at DaleJuniorBuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
Woohoo! Banditos!
Huh? Where?
Banditos burritos, baby.
We alarm our houses. And we alarm our cars. But when it comes to your personal information, it can be tough to know when something isn't right. That's where Discover Card can help. Now, we'll send you an alert if we find your social security number on any one of thousands of risky websites. And this service is free for card members. Just sign up online. It's our way of looking out for you, not just your account. Learn more at discover.com/free alerts. Limitations apply.
Nice shot there, Dickie Lang. I'm sure you'll get out of the bunker this time. Here's Cameron from 160. Maybe a 9-iron. No, it's an 8-iron. Probably just hitting it 3/4.
It's the season for some Gordos. La 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 la.
Eddie? What in the world are you doing here? You don't even golf.
Be that as it may, Jeff, my holiday spirit knows no bounds. I come bearing gifts.
Outstanding. What do you have there, sir?
3 gifts. Gold, frankincense, and mahi fingers for all. Gold and frankincense not included.
Very thoughtful of you, Eddie. You don't have to do this, man.
That's what we do, man. This is the holiday season. This is the time when you show the people you love and the people that you care about just how much they mean to you.
You're absolutely right. I'm glad we get to share this with the community together.
Well, that's why I'm here, bud. Well, that. And I want to use that driver you got.
It's par 3, Eddie. Not using the driver.
7!
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So Florida has hired a head coach. It's Dan Mullen. He's only 45 years old. That feels impossible, right? I mean, you feel like we've been talking about Dan Mullen a long time because they were running his offense with Urban Meyer winning the national championship at Florida not once but twice, and also at Utah, not where they won a national championship at all, but where they had great success, which led to Meyer getting the job at Florida. 69-46 as Mississippi State's head coach. Tough place to win, and they've had, I think the statistic is more 9-win seasons under him than any other coach previously. Obviously, he was at Florida as the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach under Meyer, as I just mentioned, from 05 through 08. During that span, obviously, hugely successful. Meanwhile, Texas A&M, the guy that, the university that fired Kevin Sumlin. You go back to Kevin Sumlin. The first 2 seasons were successful because of a guy named Johnny Manziel. Started 25 of his first 26 games of Sumlin's time there at Texas A&M. And obviously that served to excite an awful lot of people when you beat Alabama on the road. That'll do that. Yeah, that'll make people really excited. But, could not sustain it over the long period and also ran into some situations there where, look, let's face it, there were some ugly moments, some that involved racism, some that involved unrealistic expectations, and some that involved failures on his part. Let's just face it, they didn't exactly stop people for a long, big part of his time there.
Well, and I think that's part of the conversation today that gets kind of lost in the shuffle, but it's still there. We talked about it for the 8 weeks prior to, today, Monday, of Decision Week 2017.
Dun, 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 dun.
The annual Jimbo Fisher event. But, the failures of the team and the coaching staff, they matter too this season. If you're just talking about this year, those are real, and those happen independent of issues that you may have in the system itself.
Right, and they can't all be blamed on losing your starting quarterback. Like, you can't not win a home game to start the year and get all the, this is, 3 straight they lost at home. I mean, you lose to NC State, you lose to Miami, and you lose to Louisville. That's not all because you lost your starting quarterback. There were other problems.
Or because the program isn't exactly aligned.
Well, listen, these are 2 very different discussions. And again, competing things can be true. I'm telling you, the reason I think the timing is bad, at least to publicly lobby for things like this, is that facilities had nothing to do with 35-3. Facilities didn't get you beat against Louisville. Facilities did none of that was why you lost these games. And it's not what led to this. Now, he and I think, just fundamentally disagree on that. He would tell me that I'm wrong to some degree, and he would give me the reasons why. And I'm telling you, I would debate that point, and we'd have that discussion, and that's fine. But I think if he stays, there are a lot of moments here. I mean, we are at a crossroads, a very interesting one. There's no guarantee that if he stays and makes these changes to the staff, that things get returned to where we need them to be or want them to be or expect them to be. Could they? Sure. I still think, and I still stand by, that he needs to look inward and that he needs to make some changes about how it is he goes about the process and delivering the message. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. Some of it's broken. He has to find a way. He's got to figure out how that happened. I'm not there on a daily basis. We're not allowed inside that program. I don't know how that happened, but it clearly did.
Yeah, facilities don't put you in a position where players are signing IOUs.
That's
for
what
effort.
I mean. That's what I'm saying. So that's not it. That's not why this season happened. Are there factors surrounding those issues that lead to problems on the field this year? Indirectly, sure. I mean, sure. We're talking about a hodgepodge of a lot of things here. I'll grant you that maybe there are some of those things underneath the surface that spilled out over onto the playing field. You know, at the end of Coach Bowden's career, there were things going on behind the scenes. You talk about kind of upheaval and all kinds of problems in the locker room that not everybody knew about. They didn't see that. You couldn't, there wasn't a face to that, but it was happening, and it certainly spilled out onto the field. It certainly caused certain things to go south, and for them to lose certain games. But it wasn't the singular reason that they were losing those games. There were a lot of other factors. So it's not so simple as to say, well, here's your problem, and if you just change out this guy and that guy, everything's going to be fine. Now, I think there are bigger problems. Now, where the debate happens is, historically speaking, you don't see too many great examples, too many big-time college football programs that have gone south and not lived up to an expectation, and then keeping the coach and watching that all turn around. There are some examples, but it's not all that frequent. So I think the debate is whether or not it could happen, whether or not he's willing to make some changes and look inward. I actually tend to think that if he stays, he will.
To me, and that may happen. We had this discussion yesterday, too. It's kind of funny. We're on call, right, all week?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's
a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So, I have my keys at the ready. I know where my wallet is. I'm not going to be looking for anything. Everything's going to be in. Maybe it should always be that way. But really this week, I'm not going to be looking for anything. If there's a reason to get to the station, we're going to get to the freaking station and get cracking.
Knock it out.
But as we're talking about that yesterday and wondering aloud if we need to meet, because there are – someone gets fired, and then the reports from Houston, that TV station.
Sure.
So we're thinking, okay, is this something we need to deal with tonight? Because we can't wait till 3 p.m. on Monday if the story's going to break at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Let's get ready to go. And when we're having those talks, one thing I said and I've been thinking about is I'd rather take Jimbo with a new staff without knowing whether or not he's going to change fundamentally his process, because I believe an empowered group of assistant coaches that are talented can do a hell of a lot more for you with Jimbo at the helm than the unknown can. Like if you told me you don't know who the new coach is going to be, but we're going to have a new coach and the financial burdens are lifted, and so we can start from scratch here, where you offer me Jimbo with the bulk of his staff replaced, I take Jimbo because I know I've seen what he can do. So if you have the right assistant coaches who know what the hell they're doing, I think that covers up a big percentage of the reason why we're in a situation we're in right now.
Yeah, the bird in hand thing, man. You know he can win. You know he's a smart football guy. You know that he can recruit. You know that Jimbo can do a lot of things that are conducive to winning a lot of football games and getting this back on track. So you don't just summarily dismiss that. You take that, you take the good of that, and you say, okay, make some changes to yourself, maybe your process a little bit, and bring in some guys that you know are going to be able to deliver the message maybe more authoritatively or convincing and get this thing turned around.
Right, exactly. I mean, the culture can change with empowered assistant coaches too. And maybe you might say, Tom, you keep saying empowered, and that, perhaps Jimbo needs to change it even to let that happen in the first place. That's a fair discussion. But I think there's also something to point out here that we do all the time with professional teams. We're losing this year. We lost 6 games. So all of these all of these problems are magnified. You know, they're that much bigger because we're losing. Everybody's pissed off. So, you know, if you win a little bit around here, perhaps discussions get a little bit more constructive instead of destructive between the parties.
I just don't. Yeah, no, I agree with that. The stuff that's going on internally over there, I just don't think that, you know, certainly we don't have to come in on a daily basis and pretend that everything's okay when you're in the middle of a 5 and 6 season.
Sure.
It just simply isn't. I'm not going to have that discussion. I'm not saying you're
I'm not
doing
trying
that,
to do
but
that.
I'm just explaining this. I mean, there's nothing all that positive to say. Now, it's nice to beat Florida again, and we began the show that way, and that's it's awesome. And the next hour, we'll begin it with a montage, and it's fun. And there were some positives that came out of this. By the way, if I can speak on the game for just a second, I'm telling you, the numbers are pretty damn deceptive here, but James Blackman played well. He was the victim of a lot of drops. He got off to a shaky start, but from there made more anticipatory throws and throws that led his receivers in tight windows than he has at any point this year, same for maybe the second half on the couple big-time throws against Miami. He played like a kid that had confidence, stood tall in the pocket, made big throws. That throw to Erman Lane, by the way, how about that play? Erman Lane, good for you, Erman Lane. I mean, good Christ, you've been everything under the sun, and now you get a guy who couldn't catch, right? That ball is as perfectly thrown as you get. That's the talent we see and that we saw all the way back at the open practice. Those kinds of throws. You know, listen, that kid was swimming. He was in over his head. It was a bad situation. You had injuries. You had inconsistencies. This wasn't Jimbo's best year as a play caller. A number of things have happened. And at times he was just bad because freshmen, true freshmen, sometimes are just bad. So the game moves too quick for him. I got you. But I think he grew up a lot. I think he grew up some in the second half of that Clemson game, learned how to handle that kind of adversity in a really hostile environment, went into Gainesville and played with confidence, got off to a slow start, was the victim. I mean, listen, I can think of 5 drops off the top of my head that are ridiculous.
Yeah, a couple of third down ones that are killer,
Izzo's
too.
drop is terrible. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of throws that are there.
The Nooney drop.
Well, good God, man. I need you to catch the ball. Some really well-thrown passes in that game.
Not that one. Not the one where we got the BS 15-yard penalty.
Hey, so, by the way, I might note this, too. I would also ask why you don't challenge the play where he takes 16 steps, gets tackled, and then the ball's on the ground. They call that incomplete. Challenge that.
Yeah. I find that curious, too. You know, if you're here on Monday saying, I don't know how they called that, well, perhaps we should find out in the moment.
Well, yeah, challenge that. I mean, I don't know.
We're winning the game. The timeout is not as vital as if we're trailing in the second half.
No, I didn't quite understand it. So
it's a great throw.
Oh, that throw is something else. That's not an easy throw.
Yeah.
He made some throws, buddy. A touchdown throw to Nooney.
Well, that's what I'm saying, okay? So if your quarterback's playing well and you're winning football games, I think perhaps everybody can sit down at a table and have a reasonable discussion rather than, you know, fighting all their battles with different media outlets.
I don't know. I'm going to argue that he's going to tell you now is the time to do that when he's got an offer on the plate to leave and he doesn't necessarily want to. He needs some assurances moving forward that things are going to change and they are going to be on the same path. And
I'm not chicken and the egging here. In this particular circumstance, either he's going to get some things that he wants, and it's not a salary bump,
right?
Or he's gone. And I think we are. But
that's where we're at. We've already established that.
We've already all agreed, though, that the assistant pool, like we're replacing assistants. If you need money, he's going to get the money to go get the assistants. That's not a problem.
That's without question.
It's the other stuff, and it's not his own. So his own salary is not an issue. The pool for the replacements that are needed, plus the buyouts that we have to take off the books.
We certainly don't think the pool for assistants that are needed is a problem. I don't know that, but I think it's an educated guess, tell you that, yeah, that's not a problem.
There's been no noise in the system that's been, an issue, though,
There have been rumors in the past that Jimbo went to them and said that he wanted to make some changes last year. I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't think I will know that. So it would seem strange to me, just knowing what I know about those contracts. If he had wanted to make a couple changes last year, I don't think that he would have been told no on that. But I don't know. I mean, I truly don't know for certain. So rather than speculate, I'll just say I don't know if that's true. But that rumor's been out there.
But in other years, yes. But this is not one of those years.
No, last year, but not this year. This year, they know they got to make changes. Now they're freaking 5 and 6. You can't. People aren't coming to the games.
Right. You can be pissed at him for what you got to do with a buyout, but that's not a hurdle here.
And it's not that big.
So what is the hurdle? And that's what we've been talking about all day.
Well, yeah, and we'll continue. And a lot of you responded when I brought up the name Willie Taggart and said, well, why is that a good hire amongst other coaches that we talked about? I mean, I'll go back and go through. Willie Taggart, by the way, is 41 years old, young, offensive mind, played quarterback in the state of Florida, was great, helped Western Kentucky turn around quickly, both as he was a player there, then later on stayed on as a coach, and then went to South Florida, very successful.
That's the other thing I see, as we're speculating, we need a proven guy. Well, Jimbo wasn't, things worked out okay. He was a coordinator.
But he was brought in, though, and groomed. The thought is that he was on staff and he got a head start with his recruiting as an OC and as, you know what I'm saying?
That's true, but being groomed, that's a load of BS. He was not groomed.
No. If what you're saying is you want a proven head coach, Willie is a proven head coach. This isn't a guy lacking head coaching experience. He has head coaching experience.
Not a big-time head coach. Not a big-time proven head coach.
Currently at Oregon doing fine. Listen, I don't know, man. I know Listen, the problem would – I'm not saying he's the only candidate, though. I'm not stopping there. I haven't really even weighed in on that yet. I'm just saying he's a worthy candidate, a name I often hear, and I understand why he'd be part of that pool of coaches you'd be discussing. Now, we're out over our skis here because Jimbo Fisher
we're like Cam Akers for most of the day on Saturday.
That was weird.
What in the world? He couldn't stay on his feet.
He wasn't good the week.
He may be hurt. I think Jimbo let it slip a little bit today that he didn't have a great week of practice last week, and then he said because you're banged up, and then he went on to the next thing.
Yeah, well, then there you go.
So maybe he's feeling it a little bit.
Yeah, freshman. It makes sense. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on earth, can give you the best year-end deal on earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from LoCash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
12 investigation report into the scandal. Curry did not say why the Vols actually backed away from Schiano. All in all, a bad look for Tennessee, believes ESPN's Booger McFarland.
I don't care who was behind choosing him, whether it was the biggest booster or whatever. You chose Greg Schiano, and then you allowed the fans and the shock jocks and the other people to make you change your decision. What kind of spineless, no backbone thing is that?
On the premiere of Golic and Wingo, that's Booger McFarland. FSU coach Jimbo Fisher, linked to the Texas A&M opening, told ESPN Tallahassee 97.9 FM he never comments on jobs. Monday Night Football, pair of teams in the hunt in the AFC wildcard race, Ravens and Texans, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN TV.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's finally here. Black Friday, along with Nissan's and Star Wars Master of the Universe, month-end and 2017 model closeout sale. All 2017 Rogues are $5,000 off MSRP. All 2017 Altimas are $6,000 off. All 2017 Maximas are $7,000 off. And all 2017 Armadas and Titans are $10,000 off MSRP. I said all, not some, with over 250 to choose from. How about new 2017 Versa S's for $10,990? $12,990 with 5 available at this price. Or new 2017 Sentra S's for just $13,990 with 7 available at this price. Did I mention that new 2017 Pathfinder S's and Murano S's start at only $24,995? Plus, during this sale, all new Kraft Nissans come with 2 years or 20,000 miles complimentary maintenance. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive and the original lifetime warranty. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. And we are open this Sunday. Prices include dealer preparation charge, must finance through NMAC.
Football season is in full swing, and so is AAA One Transmission. AAA One Transmission is locally owned and operated by Tim Pridgeott, who's been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 37 years. Brakes, transmissions, electrical systems, tune-ups, and battery checks. No matter what ails your vehicle, AAA One Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Do you like video games, live music, dancing, and having fun with your friends? Swing by the new Fire Betty's, located in Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Not only can you quench your thirst, but now Fire Betty's offers a new fun food menu as well. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There's something fun going on every night, from trivia on Wednesdays to live music on Fridays, hospitality nights on Thursdays, and unique music video DJ Saturdays. Come take a trip down memory lane and make some new ones too. Happy hour at Fire Betty's is Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. And don't forget about Sunday Fun Day with the NFL Red Zone, liquid brunch and drink specials all day, starting at 3 p.m. For catering or private parties, message Fire Betty's on Facebook.
Pour some Sugar and Spice into your life. From body shots to champagne showers, Sugar and Spice will always be nice.
We bring the party to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays.
Have a poker game coming up? One of our discreet dealers will show you her cards.
Sugar and Spice is Tallahassee's largest and most prestigious adult entertainment company. View our selection online at ilovesugarandspice.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
O'Reilly. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today and pick up 5 quarts of Castrol conventional, high mileage, or Magnatech motor oil for $19.95 during the 5-day sale. Plus, earn a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. Protect your engine with Castrol oil specials at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Lane Kiffin's not afraid, man. Did you see his tweet?
The one from earlier today about Tennessee?
For those that didn't, as Tennessee again finds itself engulfed in flames, Lane Kiffin waits by his phone, not waiting at all, getting this team ready to win its 9th straight against a great North Texas team. Come to the championship here in Boca at the FAU Stadium, ESPN. Dude, that's funny. It's funny. He's an ass and doesn't care who knows it.
That'll be an interesting hire.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You want Lane Kiffin in Tallahassee, do you? Oh, from a media standpoint, the answer is yes.
Yeah, that's all. I'm just saying it would be interesting.
You think? It would be very. Oh, my God.
You'd have a lot of wide open touchdowns. I know that much. He's good for one a game.
Yeah, he is. He's also annoying as all hell and really, really probably difficult to deal with, to say the least. He's still got to prove to people at big-time programs he's capable of not just being an a-hole and screwing the whole thing up after 1 year. He's never sustained anything.
I can just hear your mom's voice when she does the picks. He needs to get it together.
Oh, I could picture her saying that, yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be successful, Jeffrey. He just needs to get it together.
Those Chargers and my man Angry Phillip Rivers got it together against the Cowboys, buddy.
Did they ever? All over the Cowboys.
Well, and if they could have bothered to kick an extra point at any point, they would have really run it up. It was crazy. That's a very dangerous team. I've been saying that for a while. I don't know why they couldn't win a game early. If they hadn't started 0-4, think about what they are since.
Yeah.
They're dangerous.
Yeah, they're 5-2, and they're game out of first place.
The Chargers have, well, you know, Alex.
They're a problem. They have a pass rush, the Chargers do.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying the Chiefs. I meant to say the Chiefs have fallen on hard times. Out of nowhere. Yeah, the Chargers can't run the ball all that effectively, consistently, and that is the lone problem that they have. At the end, they just decided to go 5 wide and let Angry throw it every down, and Angry came through every time because Keenan Allen's really good.
Because you're damn right I did.
Yeah, you're damn right. Just always going to compete. Fun team to watch. You know, it gets interesting. From the NFL standpoint of what we saw over the weekend, the only real big news, at least as it pertains to something local, is I guess Jameis has been cleared to maybe throw. We'll see. I don't know what the point is anymore now that they lost the Falcons. I just call it a day, my man. You don't need to go back out there in this nonsense.
He's got to win people back over.
Well, I mean, if he does play, he does kind of, I don't know about winning people back over, but if he's healthy, I need him to go out and play well and remind people of why you were so invested and excited about his future to begin with. I mean, he was great his first 2 seasons. That seems to have been forgotten pretty quickly.
You know, as a Julio Jones fantasy owner this year.
You were pleased.
I was pleased yesterday, but it doesn't make up for, you know, the 10 weeks leading into it of absolute despair. But good gracious, that's 500 yards they hung on Tampa. It could have been a little bit more if they wanted it to be, too.
Well, just throw to him every play. We don't have anybody that can cover him, and you can't get a pass rush. So between those two things, you're dead in the water. Matt Ryan is at the very least competent enough to stand tall in the pocket and throw the ball to Julio freaking Jones.
I was glad to see Golston came back yesterday. He's great against the run, and I'm not kidding about that. He is great against the run.
But I don't need that.
But
I need somebody to get to the damn passer.
Pretend Matt Ryan is a running back.
How many times do you watch the Bucs play and on 3rd and 15 think, there's a real good chance they convert this and not be wrong? It's their first field goal, or that one field goal is 3rd and 15. They get 14, so they don't convert, but they get into field goal range. And did you have any doubt that would happen?
There's nobody near him when he catches the ball. They got to fly up to the line of scrimmage to make a tackle to keep him short. We knew it was smoke and mirrors before this Falcons game.
Well, I said that. They beat the sorry-ass Jets. And
yet the kid fumbled inside the 10-yard line, and I thought Grimes needed to score there in order for the Bucs to have a chance.
He's one player away.
I can't wait to see the all-22 of that because I think Conti had the angle. Hooper runs from across the field. What the are you doing, man?
Go block somebody.
Make your block.
Well, you want a reason to hate Conti. He's giving you a mini if he can add to the list.
I see Hooper beat him to the spot, and I wonder, how is that possible? You're nearer to the ball than Hooper is by 50 yards.
Maybe he didn't see him, Tom. Maybe he just didn't see him.
The blinding speed of one Austin Hooper.
Beer 30. Cue it up.
Count them up, pour them out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachian Parkway.
I have no idea what the hell they're doing tonight over at the 7th Hill Tap Room. I cannot find...
It's Mix and Match Monday,
where all Mix and Match 6-packs of delicious craft beer are $1 off. Don't forget the 7th Hill Tap Room has a cup club. Tell them, Tommy.
Oh, I will. The Cup Club cup is just $10. It's a green fancy cup that you get from the 7th Hill Tap Room. It gets you $1 off all drafts from 7 p.m. to close Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights, and $1 off all drafts all day long on Saturday.
Our thanks to our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, where you can always find the newest and freshest Florida craft beer. For a guy who couldn't find the sheet, just in the nick of time.
There it is.
Woo! 5 o'clock hour will be fun. We'll kind of recap where we've been today, which is a lot of thoughts on Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M, possibly. Also, Coach's interview from earlier this morning. That's all next. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it's finally here. Black Friday, along with Nissan's and Star Wars Master of the Universe month end and 2017 model closeout sale. All 2017 Rogues are $5,000 off MSRP. All 2017 Altimas are $6,000 off. All 2017 Maximas are $7,000 off, and all 2017 Armadas and Titans are $10,000 off MSRP. I said all, not some, with over 250 to choose from. How about new 2017 Versa S's for $10,990? With 5 available at this price, or new 2017 Sentra S's for just $13,990 with 7 available at this price. Did I mention that new 2017 Pathfinder S's and Murano S's start at only $24,995? Plus, during this sale, all new Kraft Nissans come with 2 years or 20,000 miles complimentary maintenance. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive and the original lifetime warranty. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco, and we are open this Sunday. Prices include dealer preparation charge, must finance through NMAC.
Milwaukee's special promotions going on right now at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Purchase an M18 Fuel 2-tool combo kit and receive your choice free. M18 Fuel 4.5 to 5-inch grinder, 7 1/4-inch circular saw, or M18 Fuel Sawzall. Also check out the Milwaukee accessory add-on promotions. Buy Milwaukee Sawzall blades and use e-rebates to get a 30-ounce stainless tumbler, pack-out toolbox, or M12 hacksaw kit. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, the largest Milwaukee selection in the area. 2 locations, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
Wow, this is great. E+.
E+? Is that like A+?
It's better. The E stands for easy.
Easy Plus?
Yep. Easy ways to save energy, water, and money from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities. The City of Tallahassee Utilities has created easy ways to monitor your account with E+ online. We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing, paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E+ from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Tennessee Athletic Director John Currie issued a statement on the almost hiring of Greg Schiano as the Volunteers' next football coach. The school backed out of a deal after a backlash over Schiano's alleged connection to the Sandusky scandal at Penn State. Curry said Tennessee carefully vetted Schiano and noted he was not mentioned in the 2012 investigation report into the scandal. Curry did not say why the Vols actually backed away from Schiano. All in all, a bad look for Tennessee, believes ESPN's Booger McFarland.
I don't care who was behind choosing him, whether it was the biggest booster or whatever. You chose Greg Schiano, and then you allowed the fans and the shock jocks and the other people to make you change your decision. What kind of spineless, no backbone thing is that?
On the premiere of Golic and Wingo, that's Booger McFarland. FSU coach Jimbo Fisher, linked to the Texas A&M opening, told ESPN Tallahassee 97.9 FM he never comments on jobs. Monday Night Football, pair of teams in the hunt in the AFC wildcard race. Ravens and Texans, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN TV.
Experience why for nearly a century men have trusted Barbasol for a close, comfortable shave. Whether it's extra moisturizing with vitamin E or soothing aloe, all you have to do is sit back and bask in the glory of your close shave. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anything you say, 5. Go ahead, ask me a question. Did you? 5. I have a secret document that I think you need to say. 5.
Winston, Benjamin again. Inside the 30, breaks a tackle. Benjamin inside the 15. Benjamin is in. Touchdown, FSU.
Anything you say, 5.
It's a big moment now for the Noles defense.
It is picked up. Picked up by Terrence Smith. He's headed the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4. All the way to the end zone.
McGuire throws back against his body. Touchdown.
The physio.
Caught by Jeremy Kerr. Back up tight end. What a throw. He had to fit that into a bread box.
The seal.
2nd and 3. Patient, then explosive.
Back to throw, hit by Brian Burns, ball is out, scooped up by Jacob Pugh, and returned for a Florida State touchdown.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Blackman to the air on 3rd and long, into the end zone, touchdown, Florida State. Naquan Murray intercepted. Taylor with his second of the day, and a pick six for the Seminoles.
The physio.
Cam Akers with the cutback, inside the 5, touchdown, Florida State.
Anything you say, 5.
End zone touchdown, Auden Tate.
1, 2, 3, 4.
38-22, the final, with 28 points off of turnovers and a couple of scores for the defense.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Interrupting all programs. This is a radio crash on Pirate Satellite.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Great to be with you. Good Monday. Hope you're well. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do miss something, we got you. All 3 hours going to be posted, both on iTunes and our own audio vault upon the conclusion of the show. So at the end of this hour. Email the show if you like, jcs at 979 ESPNradio.com. Feel free, fire away. Lots of emails coming in. Touch on some of those throughout the week. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. WTSM app for your mobile devices. And I would also note that you can find us on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Subscribe to that and you'll be able to watch us every day. Florida State defeats Florida, as you may have heard in the montage, for the 5th consecutive time. 5th. I couldn't get there.
It's the cold weather raspiness.
That's just fun, and maybe people remember the sketch, maybe people don't. I loved it. It's just good. It's fun. It's perfect, and it's also one of my favorites. So that said, we did revel in victory over our arch rivals down in Gainesville. That is the 4th consecutive win in Gainesville, 5th consecutive win in the series, and Florida State has simply owned Florida for the better part of a decade now.
You know, my little test, about how much I care about Florida and Florida State was put to the test this weekend because they wore the orange tops and the white helmets. Yeah. It's not the usual combination of the two uniforms.
Not the clashing of the uniforms.
No, it was like watching the Bucks from the 70s against, the Noles.
Yeah, but then you did enjoy and feel not only the excitement surrounding that opening touchdown where you can see 99 fly off the edge and you go, oh, he's got his ass.
Akin to Simeon Rice back in the day with the Bucks. He doesn't see it coming.
No,
this
he's
could be a
got
strip
no
sack.
idea. Look where it went. Right to him. Go.
Good for Pugh, too.
Yeah, really good for Pugh.
Nice send-off.
A lot of good things happen in this game for the guys that are no longer going to be here. Noddy played exceptionally well. Lots of just wonderful moments.
That's what he does.
Oh, he does. He's had a great year. Good on you, Noddy. So the Noles do get the win in the rivalry, which is great. And so you get that because now you get a chance with a win this weekend against ULM, who can light up the scoreboard, but Florida State ought to be able to score at will also. And sorry, I know Jimbo doesn't want to assume anything here, but I'm going to assume a win over a team that lost to Idaho. If we can't beat them, then you take that Texas A&M job, my man.
Then Idaho.
Yeah, that ain't going to get it done. But anyhow, that said, I know coaches don't like to assume these things, and you do have to ready them and all that. You can't have the big letdown, and there are distractions galore. There's no doubt. But with a win there, Florida State will be 500 and will get bowl eligible yet again and extend an already record-breaking streak. It's a shame, admittedly, with all that happened over the weekend, Miami losing to Pitt and Rozier, who I've said is garbage all year long, proving that he is not very good. And really, by the way, I thought despondent at times in this game. It was bizarre. It wasn't just that he was inaccurate. It was that he just didn't look like he was there. It was really weird. But not only enjoying Miami's loss, which should have been one of 4 on the season, but in addition, Alabama loses to Auburn, and so we've created a scenario now where everybody, the talking points are what's going to happen, and there's room for debate and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that game was captivating, wasn't it? With all the wild twists and turns, obviously the turnovers back-to-back. You have the fumble recovery for Auburn, and they go down the field, and Stidham gives it right back, and you're thinking, you just wasted your chance. You go up 2 scores here. What the hell are you doing? So that Alabama comes back, and they score, go right down the field to start the second half. There are some games that are good and between 2 good teams, but when it goes to commercial, you're looking forward to flipping to something else. This was not one of those. I left the TV right where it was. That was a fun game to watch, especially, while basking in the glory of 5 in a row.
Basking in the glory of 5 in a row was a good thing, and Florida State's victory was not lost on me or any other Nole who has found this season to be infinitely frustrating, but it was also not enough to make us ignore what has been the overriding talking point, especially for those of us here connected to the program, and that is that Jimbo Fisher is the leading candidate and has, in fact, been offered the Texas A&M head coaching job, and he has. And it is now, as we understand it, in his court. The decision rests with him. The deal is, for all intents and purposes, over with. It is a deal that I think Texas A&M feels comfortable with. And I'm sure for Jimbo Fisher, the deal is less about money, although it's not a non-factor, and more about sort of an ideology as to where Florida State is and where they're going, and the boosters and the disconnect that he feels there, and where Texas A&M is all in, those kinds of things.
I find that interesting, and you brought that up a little bit earlier in the show, but I'll come back to it just because I find it interesting. You don't usually hear that the negotiation process is done with the other party. Like, it's largely good to go. It's just a matter of now.
There may be some tweaks, some really small tweaks. My understanding is that deal is done. Now, it doesn't mean he has accepted the offer.
Isn't that just funny to hear, though, that the deal is done?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I think it sits at it sits on his desk. Jimmy Sexton's like, here you go, boss. Here's the deal. Here are the terms. You want to stay in Tallahassee or you want to go to Texas A&M? And it's on Jimbo Fisher. For those that are just tuning in, and I sometimes forget, and that's my fault as a host, that not all of you listen to all 3 hours. Shame on you. It's kind of a joke. And not all of you have an opportunity to sit in your car and listen to every segment and check back with all of the things that we've said. So let me recap. I talked to Jimbo Fisher this morning for close to 30 minutes. Most of that conversation was not for air. About 5 minutes or so is, and you'll hear it later this hour, in which I ask him directly about the Texas A&M job, and he answers. Once he does, there was no more room to really talk about that. He was basically telling me he's not going to comment on the job. Then it was time to move on and talk about the actual win over rival Florida. And so we do. I am certainly not going to betray his trust in terms of the in-depth conversation we had this morning, but I will, as I said in the first hour, again, cite it as context for some of my opinions regarding this situation, Jimbo Fisher with the Texas A&M offer and Jimbo Fisher's situation here. I feel like during the course of that conversation, and I think this is a fair assessment, that he was a guy kind of in limbo. I think there are parts of the conversation that I had with him that made me believe without question he would love to stay here and that he's happy at Florida State and he loves Tallahassee and he doesn't want to leave it. And there were other times during that conversation where I could sense some of his frustrations with some things that he thinks need to change. And that maybe that was enough to compel him to take this opportunity to go somewhere else. So in short, I feel like he was uncertain when I talked to him this morning, and that's where I have to leave it because I don't know how the day has transpired. I don't know to whom he's talked to from the time we hung up early this morning to now. Certainly, I think there's a lot to chew on here because I think his primary concerns aren't about money for him. And I'm not playing the role of his agent here, but what I'm telling you is I didn't get the sense that this was about him wanting more money for him. This was about trying to get on the same page and to fix a system that he thinks is broken between the athletic department, football program, and the boosters. Who's right in this? I don't know. I know what the two sides will argue. I know people on both sides of that argument, and I know really, really insightful, intelligent people who can make compelling arguments for either side. I think that's probably more at what's at play here than anything to do with the $7 million or $7.5 million or the millions that he currently makes and whether he wants more. No, if there were more money being asked for, it would have to do with obviously making changes to this staff and getting a bigger sum of money to go out and get big-time assistance that he's looking at. And I don't think that's something that the administration would say no to. I feel like they would say, okay, that's fine. Make your offer. Let's go. Now, that may or may not be true. That's my opinion. I don't know. I feel like the money's there for that.
But once again, revisiting, the major topics, I think what the national media will look at, and if somebody is just a casual Florida State fan, be it in the city of Tallahassee or, they're popping on the show today and they want to see what's going on, they'd say, well, Texas A&M is offering $2 to $3 million more per year, and they want to give them long term. Beyond the 5 years that was initially reported, some outlets say as many as 10 years. Yeah. You'd say, well, how could you turn that down? It's not about that, though. So if you're just checking the boxes of what's this all about, is it about, making more money as much as possible, as soon as possible?
No, I don't think that's what this is about.
Check that box off. Is it about not having the money this year? If you want to argue about the past, it's a different argument. But do we have the money this year to replace the current staff members that he feels need to be replaced and go get somebody?
I would argue
that's expensive,
and they're willing to do that.
All right, checking that box. So what's left? What's left to discuss?
Well, it's a fundamental disagreement about how the boosters and the athletic department interact. And that's not the first. He's not the first person who's brought that up to me. This is not a foreign concept. Those who cover this program know that's been an issue for coaches at Florida State for a very long time. Now, to the degree with which coaches blame that situation for some of their problems is debatable. Meaning, I don't always agree with coaches, plural, that have said to me some of their problems are solely because of a dysfunctional situation with the boosters in the athletic department and the athletic programs. I think sometimes that's an easy way to make excuses for a tough season.
Yeah, if you get good players and you don't get wins, well, I don't think the boosters have anything to do with Tuesday practice.
Right. Now, I've also heard the counter argument to that is that, you can still win. You can still win, but everything becomes infinitely more difficult when you feel like you're pulling teeth for every step forward that the program needs to make to succeed long term, and it wears you out and wears you down and makes it very difficult for you to do your job. And I get that side of it too. Listen, I do know our situation at Florida State is very different between the boosters and the athletic department than it is at other programs. It is a different set of circumstances. This isn't the same as it is at other programs. And, I said at the first hour, if we were to get into this, you really could do a week's worth of shows on this, and you would need to bring in an awful lot of people that have been involved in this for a very long time.
Well, and that gets into the what should be, what ought to be discussion. But as for the what is discussion.
Well, the what is that Jimbo Fisher has been offered the Texas A&M job, and he is contemplating whether or not to take that job. That's where we're at.
Well, and okay, so where are we at with this question? I think it helps determine the outcome of this week, whether he stays or whether he goes. Is that relationship beyond repair? It's more of a professional relationship than a personal relationship, to be sure, but is that relationship beyond repair? And if Jimbo believes that, then he's better off going instead of trying to square peg round hole.
Well, right. If he believes that there's not going to be a fundamental change to that structure.
And if they don't believe it's necessary, the other side of the coin.
Or they can't do anything about the way it's set up. There's always that. There's always this idea that they can't change things as it's currently set up. You're right. Some may say, I don't want to. It's always been this way. What's the point? It's like complaining about the weather.
Won 3 championships this way.
Yeah, we've won plenty around here with the way it
14
is
straight
now.
top 10 seasons.
Right,
so what the hell do you want?
Right. Exactly.
You got an IPF.
Now, I know what that side says, and I know what this side says, and I get everything in between. And there are things I agree with the coaches about, and there are things that I certainly side with the university and the boosters about. I get it. You're right. If he thinks that this is fundamentally flawed and it cannot be fixed in the short term, then he may feel inclined to take the job. Now, there are so many other mitigating factors too. There are the factors of whether or not he's comfortable making changes to his staff. He may not want to have to go through that. This would be a way not to do that. He may not be comfortable also with moving his family. There are factors off the field that have nothing to do with football and have everything to do with family and their situation and his kids and his ex-wife and his girlfriend and who knows. The things we would all have to consider on our own lives that everybody has to consider when thinking about other jobs or walking away from a profession, whatever it may be. So those are things that will also factor into this. But I don't think it's simply, I want more money. I don't believe it's that.
Yeah, that's what makes this so fascinating is, again, and in the first hour we talked about this, how after you interviewed Stan Wilcox, for Sirius XM and you were doing the lead-ups, and we played that on these airwaves, I was relieved to hear that the AD is plugged into the football program, into the decision-making process. This isn't a relationship with a coach such that he takes care of all sports other than football, and Jimbo takes care of football, and then the president rules if there's a disagreement between the two, and they're, in opposing camps. I was glad to hear that Stan is, okay, well, how can we do this pragmatically with the money we have, person in the room? That's good. And I'm glad to hear, even though there's a time and place for these things, and I don't think he always chose the right place and the right time.
Well, that's been my big contention where we disagree. I don't mean you and me and Coach Fisher.
I think that, I know that. I'm glad that Jimbo is always pushing for more because that's how the IPF gets built. That's how, the coaches' offices are redone. That's how progress is made. So I'm glad that he plays his role. But what I find interesting since that time is that there's a whole other factor here about how the machine works. And if nothing else, what this situation is going to teach us, whether Jimbo leaves, whether he stays, is that the relationship between the administration and the coaching staff and the programs within the athletic department
and the boosters
also has the booster element to it. And we all know that, generally speaking.
It's just not often talked about.
But it's very, very important. And it's going to be likely here a determining factor, a principal determining factor as to whether it's Tallahassee or College Station for Jimbo. That's fascinating. I didn't expect that to be the storyline. Usually it's about a raise, a coach's assistant salary pool, a singular
more money,
building.
More facilities, more, yeah.
I don't think it's just solely about a football-only facility. That's what I'm gathering and learning here in the last week.
No. I think this is about leveraging a long-term vision and making changes to the way this thing functions. I think there's no question that that's what this is about, and that if this would be the opportunity for him to utilize this offer, not to make more money for himself, but to make these fundamental changes that he's seeking, that he's thought needed to be made for some time. Now, again, if you listen to coaches, this isn't just Jimbo Fisher. If you listen to coaches, they've always got a problem. I mean, they're always angry about something. There's always something they want, they need, have to have. Can't win without it. What are we going to do if we don't get it? And the second you give it to them, they want the next thing, and they'll tell you that they're getting lapped. I'm getting passed by. We're so far in the weeds, I don't understand why we got to beg for everything. This is in perpetuity. This goes on.
Be paranoid, yes.
All the time. Always worried about the next best thing. So you're going to hear that, and the other side's always going to push back and say, can you give me a little patience here? You know, these things, we can't just pull the money off of trees. We've got to raise the money in order to make these changes. And we don't necessarily completely disagree with you that this needs to be fixed or that this needs to be built or this has to happen. It's just it can't happen overnight. So it's never soon enough for the coach and for the side that is tasked with the responsibility of raising the money and getting those donors to stroke those big checks. They're saying, oh, hold on. We hear you loud and clear, big guy, but it ain't happening on Tuesday. It's going to be a year. And then there's pushback there. Well, now you throw into the mix not just that process that's alive and well across campuses around the country. You throw in the process as to how the money gets spent and who's in charge of that with the boosters. And the fundamental disagreement the head coach has with the boosters. And then, of course, I would think that at that point he would say to the administration, you have to fix this, and the administration has to decide.
And maybe the proper answer is no, Jimbo.
Yeah, maybe the answer is no.
Maybe
no,
don't lose 35-3 to Boston College. Let's tighten up.
Oh, by the way, this process was in place when we won the national championship in 2013, which wasn't eons ago. It's just a few seasons ago. So all these problems that you perceive to be the case right now, you won with before.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall for those
and those
exchanges.
Well, I'm sure those.
You need earplugs because I'll bet there's a lot of shouting.
Well, I was going to say, those are lively conversations, to say the least. It's fascinating times. Well, and I tell you what, you're not in an enviable position if you are one of the administrators, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, if you let a guy walk and he goes on to kick ass somewhere else, and if for any reason the next guy that comes in doesn't immediately have success, the clock's ticking. You're about done.
Well, and the cupboard's stocked here, too. That's the other thing for the next guy, if there is a next guy.
Well, the next guy would be very excited. If that phone call comes to your agent and they're asking you whether or not you're interested in the Florida State job, believe me, there ain't too many people on the list that would say no with the situation being what it is here.
The other interesting element to this, too, if you're just looking at it from the administration side, Jimbo is the face of some things when it comes to pushing the program, but he's not the face of everything. And by that, I mean the marketing part of things. He will be the face of the program when it comes to media availabilities, message, direction of the football program. But he's not John Calipari over here shaking hands and kissing babies. That's not his style.
He's not great at it. No, I don't think it's a wise idea to piss off your major donors by taking shots at them or cheapening their contributions.
There are guys we roll our eyes at, but they play the game so very well.
Ain't nobody better than Calipari.
But I think there's an element at play here, right? That involves that part of it. That's because it goes both ways.
What I said the first hour is that I think the timing for the complaints this year was ill-suited. It was a poor choice. There are plenty of people who disagree with me on that. That's fine. I don't believe it was a good look. And I also just believe you can use the back channels. I think that you can push for these things incessantly. I think you can be, a real pain in the ass about this sort of thing using the back channels.
Just to me, it indicates that the back channels are closed for the moment. They're off the air.
Right. So so the response is not what he wanted, so he felt the need to go public because he wasn't hearing what he wanted to hear. Now, one might venture a guess and say, maybe you weren't hearing what you wanted to hear because we're freaking 5-6, my man. People are like, you want
2 and 5 at the time.
You want to talk about this now? This is the time to do this? That's what you want to do? And he's saying there's never a bad time to talk about this. This is what programs do. The ones that are moving forward, it's about a different structure. This is about changing who we are to keep up with the times, and that's always necessary, guys. And if you're going to tune me out, then I'm going to go public.
Oh.
Well, I mean, this is that's how I think this whole process played out.
We're positing a theory, and there's no inside knowledge here, but I mean, it's a reasonable guess. It's something that irked Jimbo, and then he's losing, and now he's pissed even more. And that's what losing does.
That's what losing does, just as winning covers up an awful lot. And, Coach Fisher has talked about the problems that persist on a football team do even in years in which you're winning football games. If you got a problem in the locker room and you win football games and you find a way each week like they did in 2014, maybe a lot of that doesn't get public and it's covered up by the fact that you keep winning football games. When you start losing them, then the dirty laundry begins to air, the frustration mounts, and things come out.
Yes, exactly. And I think everybody's telling the truth a little bit here.
Yeah.
It's just a matter, how much truth are you telling compared to the next guy? Everybody's got a point here.
Everybody's making a case. And really right now, I mean, I think if you're just a fan of Florida State, alumnus, booster, supporter of Florida State of any kind, you're just worried that a guy who has proven that he could win a national championship and annually bring in top 5 recruiting classes is flirting with yet another job, and that bothers you for a lot of reasons. A, it feels a little ungrateful, given what the commitment to him has been. And that's their perception. Like Coach Fisher would say, no, the money's not about for me right now. But, the last 2 years, you got a bump.
It's Lebowski. If he's unable to live within his means, which are ample.
Yeah. No, that's the public sees it and looks at that and says, man, I mean, how ungrateful. And then, behind the scenes, a lot of people go, well, he's got a point. I mean, this really isn't an ideal way to handle these things.
If he stays, they got to talk. If he stays they have to talk. And, these things are usually for show. But how about a press conference where everybody from every camp shows up and we talk about the new building that's going to be, erected in 2019, whatever it is.
That building ain't getting erected in 2019, my friend.
Well, people forget. I mean, it's like, the golf course is on install right now. So, just show me the renderings and we're good to go here.
Yeah.
People forget for a couple of years. That's true.
You know what they're not forgetting about? I guarantee you none of the coaches are forgetting about this idea of ACC network money. Where's that money? When are we getting that ACC network money, guys? We could use some of this right now.
Where are you at, Swaffy?
I interviewed Coach Fisher for the Mountain Dew Coaches interview. You'll hear it when we come back. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on Earth, can give you the best year-end deal on Earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
On North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the fourth quarter, where you'll get $2.25 domestic drafts, $2.75 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient, then explosive.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show, featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit MMTCFL.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events, and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Tallahassee Sports Authority.
Your station is the great tower of filth mentioned in the book of Revelation.
This is Tallahassee Sports Authority, 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. As we always are after game weekend, we're joined by the head football coach, Jimbo Fisher. Coach, obviously, there's a lot of talk around the country, college football. Everybody has now heard or read somewhere, at least out of the state of Texas, that you have been offered the head coaching job at Texas A&M. I've got to ask you, is that a job that you have accepted? Is that a job that you'll feel free to comment on? If not now, when is a good timeline?
Jeff, you know I never comment on job. My focus right now is winning this game against ULM and playing our season. And I don't get into the rumors and all the rumor mills. If there was ever something to it, then, you know, at appropriate time. But right now, there's no reason to comment. We're just focusing on beating ULM.
Coach, 5 in a row against Florida. That obviously is historical. Your thoughts on what it means to be a part of that, your thought about going into the Swamp and winning yet again a 4th straight time in Gainesville, and what it means for this team.
Well, I think, first of all, what it means for our fans, our alumni, and the people back with Florida, and the rivalry started, and they couldn't beat them, and had such a hard time, and Florida wouldn't play, and that whole thing. I mean, that generation of people, and I think it means so much to, and you know, the John Thrashers and T.K. Weatheralls and Jim Smith and all the people back in those days, and they remember that. I think it's huge. That rivalry is huge for us. And then, like everybody said, well, what does this team have to play for? And we kept winning a national championship or a conference championship. We used to accomplish something that had never been accomplished at Florida State. That's hard to do right now, because we've accomplished a lot of things. in the past and in the present. This team has done it. To win 4 in a row down there is a tremendous accomplishment. And again, I think it signifies this team's character and ability to go compete and just keep blocking out the clutter and keep playing with each other.
We talk about how it was done, Coach. Obviously, Florida State's defensive line, you look at this, your defensive line dominates Florida really in this game. I thought, by and large, when you look at Florida just averaging 3.9 yards per play, and if you include some garbage time in there, really it wasn't even that. I thought that was the key to the game. Obviously got after the passer as well.
It was. They got pressure and created turnovers and created points. I mean, theoretically, we created 21 points, directly, set up other scores. Offensively, we were very opportunistic in scoring touchdowns and getting it in the end zone, did a great job, and left some things out there offensively on the field. We had some plays. But defensively, I thought we were outstanding. I thought they had pressure up front. We covered well. Vontae Tanner was outstanding. Derek Nottie inside. Derwin was really good. Some of those young freshmen, you started to see them play, and I was just very proud of our defense. They controlled the football game.
Offensively, Coach, you don't run a lot of plays in this game, so it's hard to really look at just overall numbers. I'll say, and I want to get your assessment after you've watched the film, obviously, I thought James Blackman played a pretty good football game. Talk a little bit about preparing him for that atmosphere. Did he learn a lot at Clemson, obviously, with the way that the second half kind of went for him there? And obviously, as a coach, you're trying to prepare him for an atmosphere that is similar to that of Clemson. Your thoughts on the preparation during the week and then his game?
Again, he keeps maturing and making plays. And had a couple opportunities. Even Dickey said, with the rare drop by Auden, and when he had, that guy don't ever drop anything. And make good throws there. There was a high throw here and there on some plays and had some pressure, but we had some 4 or 5 critical drops, but he kept making plays. And then development he had at the end of the game when he, we had the third down and he checked it down to the back when he had to on the third read. The back makes the guy miss on how they played it. Then the read, and then the play, he get Lane on the second long. He makes that play. And then at the end after, we didn't get in the end zone on that one turnover. We're back up 3rd and 3, and we're up down still a 2-score game. And he makes a great throw to Auden in the back of the end zone. Not just that he makes a great throw, but how he made it. In other words, if he missed it, we're out the back of the end zone. We're still kicking a field goal to go up 3 scores. I mean, just a lot of poised things and development and decision-making in critical moments that he's starting to grow out of. And I'm very proud of him for that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the throw to Ermon Lane as well. A lot of throws that you saw, not only anticipatory, Coach, but leading the receiver.
Yeah, he did. Led him, understood the situation, not letting the situation get too big for him, not wanting to win too bad, as crazy as that sounds. So, I mean, there's a lot of things in there that he has really grown on, and very proud of him. And then the other way to go through him, you have to go through him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Coach, this is if Florida State gets the win, if you guys get the win against Louisiana Monroe, and I know you don't assume anything, and you'll go about the preparation and all of that, and Louisiana Monroe has
a very daggone team scoring 50 points a game.
Yeah, they got an offense. Yeah, I was just about to say they got an offense, so you're going to have to play well. But if it were to happen, fighting back to get to 500, becoming bowl eligible, and it's a big if, and I know you don't like to assume anything, and I'm not going to try to put words in your mouth, but I guess this team has certainly had to battle. Your thoughts on what basically is probably our last talk of the year before a bowl, what this season was and what those kids have had to overcome and what you guys have tried to help them overcome.
Well, I think they're learned. I mean, that there are things that you can play for reasons that are bigger than you, even though you don't get your immediate needs, or your immediate toy at Christmas, as I say, a national championship, a conference championship. And then instead of quitting, you persevere, and it's what's amazing you can overcome and establish and bring back together. And it's life's going to be like there's going to be a lot of times in life it ain't going to be good for them, and they have to fight through it. So, I think those things I'm very proud of them, their character, their toughness, and our coaching staff to fight through what they fought through.
Coach, I appreciate it. As always, thanks for your candor, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, the head football coach at Florida State University, joining us. Let's unwrap some of that. Had a chance to talk to Coach off the air as well. I can't really reveal all of that conversation, but I can talk a little bit from a standpoint of context. We'll do that next on the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
I said all, not some, with over 250 to choose from. How about new 2017 Versa S's for $10,990 with 5 available at this price, or new 2017 Sentra S's for just $13,990 with 7 available at this price. Did I mention that new 2017 Pathfinder S's and Murano S's start at only $24,995? Plus, during this sale, all new Kraft Nissans come with 2 years or 20,000 miles complimentary maintenance. And as always, all new Kraft Nissans come with our exclusive and the original lifetime warranty. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. And we are open this Sunday. Prices include dealer preparation charge, must finance through NMAC.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens. $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Hi guys, we're the Sugar and Spice Girls. Do you want your next party to really heat up? How about having your temperature taken by one of our hot nurses?
Sugar and Spice is Tallahassee's largest and most prestigious adult entertainment company. From one-on-ones to house parties, call Sugar and Spice. We'll always be nice.
524-8927. That's 524-8927. We're available to come to your location 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays. View our selection online at ilovesugarandspice.com.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Bandito's Burritos, my friend?
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachie Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachie Parkway.
Hurry to Macy's Black Friday for incredible furniture and mattress superbuys. Get a Certipedic plush queen mattress for just $136. Our Astra sofa, $499. The Avondale queen bed, $399. Plus free white glove delivery and setup on any mattress purchase of $787 or more. Shop in store at Macy's.com or call 1-800-BUY-MACY. Savings off regular and sale prices, exclusions apply.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Kind of curious. I wonder if we'll know anything about or have a resolution to all of this by Wednesday. I really don't think that you're going to make it through the course of the week if Jimbo accepts the job to Texas A&M without there at least having to be an announcement that either he has chosen to take the job but will remain on to coach the final game against Louisiana Monroe this Saturday, or that, given the circumstances, Texas A&M wants an answer. He gives the answer and he leaves.
Well, I think the hard part is that the Board of Regents meeting in College Station takes place
Thursday, right?
Thursday at 2:30. But if I'm Jimbo, and just to play the role for a minute, if I'm trying to hold on or hold off everybody at all costs, I want them to hold off until at least Thursday. It's because that's when we go through our walkthrough. So we can get through a week of practice, we go to our walkthrough, and then I can address the team and say, guys, this is going to be my last game. But I want to get through the week of practice because I think that's how his mind would work. Now, maybe he doesn't take the job at all, but if he did, I think he'd like to get through the hard practices in the week.
And I think that no matter what he's going to do, and even if he has, let's just assume, maybe not safely, but let's just assume he has, in fact, decided to take the job and has told them that. I think he wants to be here for this final game. I think he wants to be there for his players. I think he wants to take that field one final time, win that game, get them to 6-6, get bowl eligible, and put a ribbon on this thing. I think that would allow him to leave, whether you agree with it or not, I don't know, but it would allow him to leave in good conscience. He would feel good about that because he would know that he did not preside over the first team in 38 years or whatever it would be to not go to a bowl and not finish above 500. So, I think that would mean something to him. And we've never questioned this, and I want to make this abundantly clear. Jimbo, like all people, has many strengths and many weaknesses and a whole bunch of stuff that people can decide they like or dislike about him. I do, you do, we all have that about ourselves, about our personalities. But I have certainly never questioned his commitment to players and how much he loves his players. And that's the thing I think I've admired about him most, is he cares deeply about the well-being of his players. There's no question about that.
Can we touch on that then briefly? I mean, what percentage of the pie here, how big is the piece of the pie where it's about the players that he sees that have a lot of potential that he'd like to see through? I mean, the process never ends when you're a head coach. There's always going to be freshmen. There's always going to be incoming recruits. But, I mean, James Blackman looks a little bit better after this last performance.
And I do, I've said all along, I feel like he's got real upside. Yeah.
Well, it's not like Fields is coming in this recruiting season or even Jameis is coming back for his redshirt sophomore year, because remember, that was part of the equation way back when. It's like, well, wouldn't you want to come back and have Jameis Winston for another year to bolster your resume and bolster his resume?
And they did go and have an undefeated season prior to losing in the playoff. Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure there are a couple of projects, and by that, I mean, potential latent kids that he'd like to develop more, and he'd like to,
Yeah, but that's going to be anywhere you go, right? Any place. Eventually you're going to leave, right, and go somewhere, and you're going to leave that job undone. Somebody's going to be a sophomore, and you just didn't get to see him develop.
So not that big of a piece of the pie.
No, I don't think. Okay. I really don't think much of any. I just because he was a former quarterback and he's taken a liking to this kid and he's watched this kid endure an awful lot, I think he would find that regrettable. I think he'd be frustrated by that. But I don't think it would weigh into the decision. It can't really. I don't know how. A coach that takes another job is always going to leave behind some kids that he finds to be special, that he was very active in the recruiting process with, and maybe regrets that he can't be there to see the end of their careers. That's why these coaches cry. It's why they have these meetings in the locker room. It's why it's hard to say goodbye, even when they think it's the right move. I think they do get attached to these kids. They do look at these kids. Most of them do. I have said that for years about coaches. Most of them care deeply about these kids.
Well, there's a guilt, and I think there should be. Otherwise, you're not a healthy human being, because these kids look to you and they trust you when they come on campus, when they decide that, for the next 4 or 5 years, it's going to be you that I'm going to look to for the leadership.
Well, and you, no doubt, on the road made promises to them.
Yeah.
But I think everybody is very well aware of how that relationship works and how at any point a coach could get an offer and move on. I think kids, that's why you commit to a university, not solely a coach.
On the other side of the fence, if you're going to be making a change, now's a good time for an incoming coach. It's an impressionable group that's going to be left behind here.
With a lot of talent.
Yes.
Just so much talent. I think they could be really good. I know they're losing some special pieces, but, with those special pieces, because of some of the problems this year, they were 5-6. So I think even if there's a talent vacuum, if that begins to happen and you lose out on some guys that have been big-time players for this defense, for example, Noddy, you still have enough talent that if discipline-focused and running a defense that they're in lockstep with could really produce consistently. Don't look now, by the way, if we're only looking at numbers, and we don't do that because you have to actually watch the games. I love advanced metrics. I love looking at all those numbers, and I help use those. I take those things as a way to inform the discussion, but I don't look at any one number or one advanced metric as the be-all, end-all. You have to watch the games and see how they play out and why the results happen the way they do. But if we're solely looking at the numbers, the Florida State defensive numbers aren't bad. They're pretty good. No, they didn't produce enough turnovers this year, although that changed a little bit, obviously, on Saturday. And they didn't get to the passer nearly as much as they did a year ago, where they're amongst the nation's elite. But just statistically speaking, when we're talking about, whether it's yards per play or just the numbers that you would ordinarily look at, it's rounding into shape.
I'm not going to forget about those first 7 games, 8 games.
You shouldn't. That's why I'm saying you got to look at the games. You got to watch what happens. You got to know that, hey, those numbers may look good now, but in the fourth quarter of the biggest moments of the season, they couldn't get stops. And it was part of a carryover from the year before, early in games where they, early in the season where they couldn't get stops and they had to at critical moments and for whatever reason didn't. There's a stat out there that the defense has been very good in the first 3 quarters of the game and struggled mightily in the fourth. That matters too. But it all adds up to an impressive-looking year.
Well, Brian Burns getting home more certainly makes the whole world go round, doesn't it?
Sure would have liked to have seen that more consistently than, just these last couple weeks. He played well against Clemson, too.
Yep, exactly right.
I don't know where it was early this year. I don't know what happened. I bet he wishes he knew, too. So many weird things that you can't get answers to, that you don't know how it played out behind the scenes, and that's frustrating. But it doesn't really matter as to why. It's that it didn't happen. And it's not solely that you lost your quarterback that you went 5-6, and it's certainly not solely about long-term solutions to facilities and those kinds of things. So it's a mixed bag. There's some real validity to the long-term discussion that may not be pertinent to the current discussion about why you're 5-6, which is what I think is the case, right?
Agreed.
So, that said, whoa, we still got to do – I forgot to do it. Do it. Cue it up.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company and Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff,
Monday Night
what
Football.
would it be?
Monday Night Football. That's what's on tap. Who's playing tonight?
That would be the Ravens and the Texans.
Maybe I won't watch that. Maybe I lied. Maybe I'll watch a good movie. You seen a good movie lately? No? Doesn't sound like it. You had to think.
Well, Hell or High Water, but that was a week ago.
And I've seen that. That's good. No, I don't know. I have no idea. You know what's going to go on for me?
What's that?
Non-football chatter.
There you go. But you got to keep your phone near you.
Oh, I'll have it by me. Don't worry about that. Maybe a glass of wine.
Well,
nice
how about
dinner.
an 850 award-winning craft brew from our friends at Proof?
Love my friends at Proof. I got to go see them. I got to go to the beer garden.
Where would you go? Railroad Square?
Oh, Railroad Square where the beer garden is. I'd get that sour, and if I couldn't find it there, I'd go find that canned deliciousness at a store near you. Yay, Proof. Good work, Tom. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be well. Take care. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.